Come on, breathe, baby. God damn it, breathe. God damn it, you bitch! You never backed away from anything in your life! Now fight! 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 Right now! Do it! Fight, God damn it! Fight! Fight! Fight!
Let's go to the movies.
Okay. So, have you forgotten the movie?
Pretty much. I've pretty much forgotten a fair bit of the movie. I'm
Sick.
sure with you giving me a run through, I'll remember some things, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be like the sort of breakdown that we had for the previous one, because there's not exactly a lot of like, well, I suppose there is some undertone and there is some symbolism, but mostly it's American action, isn't it? So, welcome back to... Sorry, carry on.
So, no, I mean, there's not really all that much action that happens, but...
No, true.
Yeah, I guess.
All the coolest parts involve Michael Bain as well, so we can talk about that. How do you pronounce that?
Yeah.
Bain?
Bain, I have no idea.
Michael
I have
Bain?
no idea the pronunciation of his name, but
Brother of Sean Bain?
He's the best thing about the movie for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Right, so welcome back to Watch This. I'm Harry, this is my friend Jordan, and we watch movies and talk about it, or at least we try to, and then neither of us have watched this movie for a week, and I've actually forgotten a fair bit about it as well, but thank God for Wikipedia.
You've seen it multiple times, so I was expecting you to just carry me through this.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, we don't have to go. I think this might be a more concise episode in terms of the plot, at least, because there's not as much to pick apart, certainly with any of the Lynch movies, as far as I can tell. James Cameron, as much of a movie maker, maverick, and wonder boy he may be, I don't think he was hiding any messages in this movie, other than very obvious ones.
It's just Cold War allegory.
Exactly, yeah. The movie we're doing today is James Cameron's The Abyss, a 1989 science fiction film, I guess you'd call it, because it's aliens, but it is all done underwater, so it's got a bit of a thriller, bit of a horror vibe to it, given that it's all under the pressure of many, many leagues of water. But yeah, I mean, it's just an action movie, really, at the end of it. Well, at the end of the day, so I mean, I felt much more action.
I don't think... Really?
Chase scenes, big robots, sub-mega mechano shit going on, fight scenes, Ed Harris.
I can think of one fight scene, and then there was two ships just crashing into each other, or not ships, but underwater mech things just crashing into each other.
Yeah, I guess
the
action
ocean
might be...
things just crashing into each other.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, in this movie, submarines are purely the realm of government and military, whereas nowadays they are exclusively used by billionaires to execute their children. That's basically how they're used.
Nice.
Nice,
real classy joke.
It's all right, fucking, it was classier than him. Jesus Christ. So it's set in 1994. I didn't catch that. Is it? Okay.
Was it?
Apparently.
It's set in the future. Fair enough, or our past, but the
Is it
future
really?
at the time. Yeah, because the movie came out in what
1989. Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't questioning whether or not it was set in the future of its time, but I don't remember it being set in January 1994.
Yeah, neither do I. I really don't think it's all that important either.
No, I guess not. It just seems like a really odd choice. And it's funny that we've stumbled at the very first detail of the movie, which we have seen. I promise we have actually watched it. But the first scene starts with the US Ohio-class submarine USS Montana, a nuclear deterrent submarine, hosting a few Trident missiles, having an encounter with an unidentified submerged object, and sinks near the Cayman Trough, some deep part of some ocean somewhere that I can't remember the details of, probably Atlantic or whatever. But they're all like shooting around trying to figure out, oh, it's a bogey, they say like a few times or whatever, and they're trying to figure out if it's like a Russian asset or if it's someone else, and then it flies by, I think they say like 120 knots or something, which is like way faster than anything at that time could have gone. So they're like, it's not one of ours, nothing can go that fast, and then it just goes straight past them and just completely decimates their submarine into the side of a cliff, and they all die, which is such a great start to a movie.
Yeah, the scenes like that I always find really, really intense. In the moment, there's a few moments like this in the movie of like being underwater and the water rushing in just sort of the tension of people that are most likely about to drown and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a really good way to open the movie.
Yeah, I agree. It fucks with me hard as well, like having to close bulkheads on people like trying to escape, and it's like
there is a point later on in the movie where that is happening to somebody, and somebody else is trying to get the door open as the room is just rapidly filling with water and that kind of shit. Yeah, I'm really into that.
It is the stuff of nightmares. As much as this is quite a cheesy movie, that is like nightmarish, hugely nightmarish. But yeah, the USS Montana is, I believe the technical term, fucked beyond hope, and just sinks to the bottom of the ocean, or to the near the Cayman Trough, and immediately the world moves to try and salvage the submarine. So basically, the two world powers at the time, Russia versus America, both like think that the other one is planning to go and find it as soon as possible. It probably correctly. So they start putting shit together to try and salvage the sub, and this is immediately right from the get-go the sort of Cold War tensions between the superpowers become the overarching theme of the movie.
Which apparently wasn't in the theatrical version of the movie, or at least not as much as it is in the extended version, which I assume is the version that we both watched.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that we are watching the extended version on this one, with a runtime of like 160 minutes or something, I think. Yeah, special edition.
It was the better part of 3 hours at least.
Trying to find it. Thank God for the internet. Special edition runtime. 171 minutes, whereas the original, so it adds a whole half an hour, which is like a few things dotted throughout the movie, basically revealing what's going on in the real world, and then an ending, which we will touch on later.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are talking about the special edition.
The relationship between the two main characters as well was a little bit more fleshed out in the
special edition. Is that not? Oh, interesting. I've never watched the original.
It's still in there apparently, and I haven't seen the original yet. It would be interesting to watch and just see the differences. But yeah, I think the relationship between the two was a little bit more downplayed. I think he was less upset about it in the original than he is in this one.
Oh, sure. I see what you're saying. Okay, cool. Right. So what ends up happening is that the military basically decides that they cannot possibly salvage the ship for some reason. I'm not really sure why they don't have the resources. So they turn to a commercial, civilian-led diving salvage team called Deep Core.
Doesn't he say that all of their resources are tied up in other Cold War operations and stuff like that?
I'm sure there's some reason for it.
So you could get it.
That's what it is. It's the timescape, isn't it?
In a race.
Yeah, it's the time, and the fact that there is a fuck off massive hurricane coming, which is going to make it impossible to be on the surface whilst salvaging beneath. So yes, time is of the essence. That is why. And they call upon a rig called Deep Core, which I couldn't believe it was said in this movie, but also happens to be my favorite genre of pornography.
Oh my God. Real classy joke again. Let's keep this going. I love it.
We're underwater, man. Everything like no holds barred. We're underwater. Civilian underwater oil drilling crew recruited by the US Navy to assist in the recovery operation after the US submarine USS Montana sinks near the Cayman Trough. That's where we're at so far. And this is sort of where you start getting introduced to our motley crew of rambunctious heroes for this movie, which I love because
it's Alien and Aliens.
Yeah. Exactly. It's very, very similar. The parallels are just infinite. And I love the whole 80s American cheese vibe, although this is late 80s, so going into the 90s or whatever, but how you've got them all like saying little zingy one-liners to each other and stuff, and it's all just very like on the nose.
They have a
It's so
little
funny.
sing along over the radios and stuff.
Yeah.
The early scenes really do endear you to the characters quite
Yeah.
a lot, and I think James Cameron has quite a lot of skill in that because he does do the exact same thing in Aliens a couple of years before this.
Yeah, I do like the characters. That's something I've got here, is that I think it's, as far as a character, what do you call it? As far as character development and just attachment to characters goes throughout the movie, it is strong in that. It's really easy to love the characters.
He does just make you really like them immediately, and you don't want to see anything bad to happen. So when tension does start rising, you are tense because you like these people. You don't want to see them drown.
Yes, exactly. So you get introduced sort of one by one, actually, in a strange kind of like catwalk show of these different characters in their different environments, all doing their jobs one by one. You get introduced to the hero of this thing, I guess you would call it. It's Ed Harris as Bud Brigman. Is that his name? Bud Brigman, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I'm supposed to know more than you, but to be honest, I haven't watched it in a week, so I'm trying to remember. Yes, we have Bud Brigman as the foreman of this, and you've got someone called One Night. Is that what they call her? Her nickname is One Night, and that's because her surname is Standing. That's the whole joke.
Yeah. So it's one night stand.
Fucking nicely done. Solid joke. You want to talk about classy jokes, mate? Fucking that is up there.
Yeah, it fits for the movie, I guess.
That's genius. Who else have you got? You got Hippie as well, which I absolutely love, and his little pet rat, who's like,
yeah, he was the best character other than Michael Biehn.
oh, okay, interesting. Like, he's your favorite, is he, of the crew?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's got a pet rat. You gotta love that.
I do love the pet rat. Like, when later on, when there's like that tense moment with the rat floating in the water, like that was honestly the bit that got me the most upset out of like everything else that happened in this movie. Fuck, who else have we got? God, this is gonna be loose, isn't it? Who are the other ones? Alan Hippie Cairns. Oh, John Bedford Lloyd plays Jammer Willis. I love Jammer. Big hulking.
Oh yeah,
guy.
yeah.
He's cool as fuck.
Him.
The
muscle.
Yeah. Sonny, but played by JC Quinn, and then the Navy SEALs are shown after that. So, yeah, you are introduced to the team one by one, doing their little things, having a good time. They all clearly get along with each other. They all trust each other. It's quite a warm feeling, strangely, because most of it's under the water. So you've got this weird juxtaposition of being trapped in this pressure can under the water whilst everyone's having a great time. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I love their sing along. I don't know the song, but it's pretty. I liked it, and yeah, it seems really charming. And again, it just helps endear you to the characters. While none of them seem sort of more than sort of one-dimensional, they are all entertaining and they're all charming in their own way. So yeah, again, you don't want to see them drown at all.
No, you like them immediately. I think very easily. They're all just there to get along, and it's the camaraderie. You kind of like get attached to the bonds between them as much as you get attached to the characters, which I really liked. So following this, SEAL team is deployed to Deep Core, much to the chagrin of Bud, who is kind of bought out at this moment. Like, he does put himself forward as saying, like, you know, I don't want anything to happen to my crew. I will pull the plug on this the moment anything bad happens and all that. But they're like talking about triple pay or something on it.
I was gonna say he and his crew were all pretty down for it because of the triple pay. It's the ex-wife that really wasn't happy with the Navy SEALs taking over.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I've just realised that the sun is blasting right down on my guitar. This one, so I'm gonna move it. Because I'm borrowing that from a friend, and it is a real Gibson SG, and he will be really mad at me if it's at all warped or fucked in any way. So, yes, the SEAL team gets deployed and sent down to Deep Core, and we are introduced at the moment of the SEAL team's deployment as well to a Dr. Lindsay Brigman, played by Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, I think is how you pronounce it. Mastrantonio, otherwise known as Maid Marian from that Robin Hood movie with Kevin Costner.
Oh shit, is it?
Yeah. That's how I know her. Exclusively as Maid Marian. But you don't see titty in fucking Robin Hood. You do in this movie. So immediately this movie's better.
Do you? I don't remember that.
It's literally the smallest fucking fraction of a second. You just see some nipple.
Oh, and of course you noticed.
Yes! Yes,
yeah.
look.
Yeah, of course you noticed
Wet boobs. Just just the eyes. I need one of them eye tracker things to go through the movie. And
See,
just all those
I
frames
noticed-
is just on the boob.
I noticed the part where a hand wiped the camera lens. You noticed the part where a nipple slipped.
Hand wiped the camera lens.
There is a part, it's a lot later on in the movie, but there is a part where a hand wipes the camera lens, and it's really easy to miss. Like, the first time I saw it, I wasn't sure if I had seen it. I was like, wait, did I just see that? And I had
wild.
to rewind it a couple of times, but there is a point. I'll bring it up when we sort of get to the scene. But yeah, a hand does wipe the camera.
So
You
what?
can't
Like,
get stuff like that past me.
no, totally fair. Like that's sick. So wait, like you are literally saying a hand from a cameraman behind it wiping the
Yeah,
the lens.
yeah. You definitely 100% see a hand wipe the front of the camera lens.
What the
But
fuck?
I forget what it's. Okay, so fuck it. It's way later on in the movie, but when the submersible that they're on is rapidly filling up with water, and they're trying to find something for her to use so she doesn't drown, and he says something like, no, just listen to me, or something like that. And in that moment, the shot changes, and it just for some reason it changes to a shot of a hand wiping the camera.
What
In
the
the bottom,
fuck?
the sort of bottom left half of the screen, you can see the actual scene happening. And because of the edit and where your eye is, you're mostly looking at Ed Harris as he sort of shouts this line at her. But yeah, no, I just. There's a hand wipe in the lens.
So funny.
I'll get the actual hour.
I didn't
and
notice
minute
that
and
at all.
second for you, so you
Yeah,
can check
please
it out.
do,
after
please
this.
do.
No, I will.
It's hilarious. Oh my god. I mean, that's so fun. It's like on the back of James Cameron being this, like, he's so famous for bringing like technical marvels to cinema.
Which he definitely does in this movie.
Well, yeah, absolutely. There's no question
While
of
I
that.
found the movie overall to be kind of boring, the sort of technical aspect of it is absolutely incredible, and something that you just don't really see. You won't see something like this today, so it is
No.
always fun to go back and see stuff like this. Like, I'm glad I saw it, but I don't see myself watching it again.
That's fair. I don't think I will for a while after this either. But yeah, just by virtue of having to be underwater for as long as they fucking were. Jesus Christ, how do you manage that? Yeah, doing the background
Like, most
research
of
on
the
this was
crew
insane.
and cast fucking nearly drowning most of the time.
Yeah, right. Like
Yeah.
looking into that as well. Like, I don't know if there's a member of the main cast that didn't nearly drown, including James Cameron at one point as well.
Yeah, and that's one thing you can take away from it, is that at least James Cameron was putting himself in the danger that he was expecting everyone else to get into as well. So it's not like he was sitting in pure safety as all of this stuff was happening. So I can still respect it.
Yeah, massively. Like, at least you're putting yourself on the front line with the other people. But imagine, like, however long shooting was. I think it was like 6 months of shooting in just
Wow, that's a lot.
at the very least waist deep water for both Master Antonio and Harris. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, fuck that, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
at
fuck
least
that.
40% of the movie is underwater. That's crazy.
Imagine just what that would do to your psychology, let alone your like physiology. Like, fucking hell. Right, so where have we got to? Introduction of the Deep Core crew. Yeah, Dr. Lindsay Brigman is introduced as like a sort of stuffy scientist slash bureaucrat tonally. Not like, they don't like confirm who she is. And spoiler, she is the designer of the rig that they're on, and estranged wife of the main character, Bud Brigman. But the way she's introduced over the camera makes her like such a detestable bureaucratic style of character immediately, like rah, 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 rah. And then he just leans back and he's like, fucking bitch. I'm like, that's the most 80s thing.
They call her a bitch a lot in
All the
this
time.
movie.
Like, how
There
dare a
was-
woman have ideas? Like, what
Yeah,
the fuck?
it was making me kind of uncomfortable a lot of the movie.
It's
Just,
so bad,
like,
isn't it?
everyone is calling her a bitch, including the rest of the crew and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. And it is kind of brutal. I felt kind of bad for her.
It is crazy. Like, there's one part when One Night, who is also a woman, like, suggests that they just snip her oxygen to the fucking submersible that she's on. It's just fucking brutal. They are all horrible to her throughout this whole movie, and it's really, really funny because she, like,
Even later on in the movie,
Even
when
later
he's
on in the
trying
movie.
to resuscitate her, he's like
Yeah.
slapping her, like, "Wake up, bitch!" And he's
Yeah.
like, "Jesus Christ, man, tone it
it's
down."
so bad. The fucking thing is, like, the character like smiles and goes along with it, just sort of rolls her eyes, like whatever, like she hasn't just been called some heinous shit, totally like undeservedly. It's just brilliant. And another character introduced at this moment through a conversation with Dr. Lindsay Brigman / Maid Marian is our boy, Michael Biehn.
Oh, Michael Biehn, yeah, with rocking a fucking dope ass mustache.
Yeah, he looks pretty cool. The classic Navy
He
SEALs
looks like
look
a
alike.
porn star, dude. I love
Yeah,
it.
he looks like he doesn't have PTSD from Nam. He just has nostalgia. Like that's the
Yeah,
kind of character he's playing.
completely. Yeah.
So he plays.
Get me back out in that jungle, man.
Lieutenant Hiram Coffey, Hiram, not sure how you pronounce that, as the leader of a Navy SEAL troop sent down to the deep core.
It really
to
doesn't
assist.
matter. He is always fucking Kyle Reese or Johnny Ringo to me.
Johnny Ringo, yeah. It's Lieutenant Coffey in this one, arriving with a military agenda, but not so much more information on their mission other than that. Like, basically, they are there to assist because it's a military matter, but I don't think you're told too much about what it is they have planned at this point. Am I forgetting?
Wait, sorry, I got distracted by the cat. Repeat yourself for me.
Rusty fucking loved this movie, so she hears us bad mouthing it, so she had to fuck off. Yeah, like they arrive with a military agenda because the military oversight is required when salvaging a nuclear submarine. But I don't
I
think
can understand that. That
I
makes
don't
sense.
think they go into any more detail about why they're there other than that, and everyone just kind of buys it.
Yeah, civilians don't need to know.
Yeah. We also forgot to mention that as part of the original thing for the Navy is Bob Kelso from Scrubs. So you just see him for some reason.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, totally. He is. Yeah,
He's just stood there. Like, I don't really know what part he plays, but he sort of looks sarcastically at Maid Marian for a bit and is like, haha, you silly woman, what do you know about stuff? Like, he's another one that just throws shade at this woman to her face, completely ignoring the fact that she designed the rig that everyone is talking about. Yeah, it's genius.
She is just catching shade the entire movie.
The whole time, everyone's like this idiot bitch, but she's actually like one of the most
created
intelligent
this
characters.
brilliant thing that we all need right now.
It's so funny. Almost immediately, you begin to build tension between the civilian and military sort of departments, or the civilian and military factions in this, because on their way down in the smaller submersible on the way to the rig, Dr. Lindsay is trying to tell them about pressure paranoia.
She's woman-splaining. She's woman-splaining something that these Navy SEAls should probably most already know about.
But
I
they do
feel like
already
they
know
most
about it.
definitely know about this already.
They do already know about it because they
of
interrupt
course he
her
does, because,
like men and start mansplaining like is it pressure-induced paranoia or something? I can't remember exactly what it is, but they start like listing off the symptoms and all this kind of stuff.
You don't
The
need to tell me
hilarity of
about
that-
ocean madness.
Ocean madness, and you it's the funny part of it is that like Coffee almost immediately begins to succumb to it, despite being like, "Shut up, you idiot woman." It's the best. It's so like, I don't know how no one cringed at that in the script.
He looks so angrily at her as well. Like, he is shooting some real daggers at her.
Yeah. He's not happy about it at all. It's very funny to me. They
Like,
get
bitch,
there.
I already know about ocean madness.
Why do you think I'm this way?
I'm a Navy SEAL.
It's really
I
funny.
know about ocean madness.
It's just another moment of this character getting absolutely fucking railroaded by everyone she speaks to, despite just wanting what's best for everyone. And she reminds them like, oh, but you know, there's a 1 in 100 people just can't handle it and completely goes mental. Like, despite showing the symptoms or when showing the symptoms, despite any like assistance they may receive, they'll just go fucking crazy. And they're like, yeah, shut up. Just shut up. Stop talking to me. And then
We
apparently,
know what to look out for. Shut the fuck up, bitch.
right. And then apparently they have to spend like, I can't remember the exact number, but it's like 4 hours depressurizing together in this little submersible. Luckily, we're not subjected to that, but to be a fly on the wall in that submersible with 3 Navy SEALs and Dr. Lindsay Brigman, as she's just like, hey, so is everyone calm? Is everyone being... And they're just like, shut up! Just shut
She
the fuck
sat in
up!
silence and they worked out.
Yeah, probably. Just, Coffee worked out, and the rest of them just like sort of massaged him. Were like, "You okay, baby? You all right?" Sort of like rubbed the sweat off his biceps and stuff. Oh, this episode is going to be pretty wet for Michael Biehn, and not only because of the fact that they're underwater, but because Jordan's here.
I fucking love Michael Biehn, man.
If that is even how you pronounce it, how the fuck do you pronounce it?
Michael Bain, it doesn't matter.
It looks like Bane to me. It does look like Bane. It says Bean or Bean.
So Bean
Okay.
then.
So Bean, I guess. Michael Bean. So
Michael
stupid
Bean.
from Wikipedia. It literally says pronounced Bean, like Bean or Baan. So Bean or Bean. Nice. That's good stuff. Fucking, we do our research here. Tension brewing between the civilians and the military factions. Right, yeah, and then they're allowed out of the submersible because they've depressurized and they just sort of assimilate into the rest of the crew. It's very apparent right from the get-go that the crew themselves has a very tight-knit team and a bond, and they trust each other, they love Bud, and all this stuff. And the newcomers aren't necessarily as welcome as they would have liked to have been. The relationship between Lindsay and Bud is further fleshed out because he starts talking to her about this guy she's been seeing and all this shit about how they were married, and it doesn't really elucidate too much on why they were married in the first place.
She's already had another breakup after breaking up with him.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like,
She has moved on to some extent.
yeah, shit's over, bro.
There is a moment where he goes like, "I know why you broke up, because he couldn't make you laugh. You thought he was perfect, how smart he was, and all this stuff. Like, you thought he'd give you a good life, but he just couldn't make you laugh." And then she turns around, snaps at him, and is like, "Shut the fuck up, you don't know anything." It's like, oh, so he was right then. All right, cool. Like, to give that one away, which I thought was very, very funny. He then takes off his wedding ring, because she pointed out that he's still wearing it when she hasn't worn hers in years, and he throws it down a chemical toilet. You see the chemical toilet shot for another 5 seconds, and he goes back and
I
sticks
cheered
his hand
for
in
him
it.
in that moment. I
What?
cheered for him in both moments. I cheered for him as he threw the ring, and then I cheered for him again as he went to get it back. It's like, yeah, I agree. You can't really just throw that away, can you?
No,
It's
not
kind
at
of
all.
important.
And
You keep
thank
that
God he kept
memory.
it, because it literally saves his life later in the movie. And
And
also,
also-
his hand is blue for the rest of the movie.
For the rest of the movie, like that chemical shit that's in that toilet just eats into his hand.
That's
and
probably why he met
stains
the
it for
aliens.
rest of the film.
Because the chemicals just reached his brain, and he was like, "Ugh, there's aliens under the water," obviously. Where have I got to? Fucking hell, I'm losing myself. It's the pressure. I'm getting pressure-induced paranoia.
Oh shit, ocean madness.
Yeah, moving on from there, we do have deep cores lowering into the bottom of the trench, or towards where the submarine actually is. So not like the bottom of the trough, which is like way further down, but to where the crash site is. And they get lowered over there. And the massive storm, Hurricane Frederick, begins to brew above, and panic begins to set in on that as well. So the tension is starting to build around here. They're getting lowered. It's getting serious. The seals are there. It becomes this is where like the music starts to change as well, from the beautiful Alan Silvestri, I believe. Let me just check I'm right there. Alan Silvestri, yeah, composed the music for this. God, this is all over the fucking place. We're just talking about random bits of the movie, but fuck it, we're just chatting about movies. So the music starts to change here to a much more militaristic fashion. There's like, you know, marching band snare drums and some strange kind of movie like buglist stuff going on. Again, leaning into the military aspect of stuff. And I do want to talk about Alan Anthony Silvestri, because he is an absolute beast on the movie composition side of things.
Oh yeah.
He's been associated with, this is straight from the Wikipedia, so apologies for not being that creative about it, but he has been associated with director Robert Zemeckis since 1984, composing the music for all 3 Back to the Future movies, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Death Becomes Her, Forrest Gump, Contact, What Lies Beneath, Castaway, The Polar Express, Beowulf, Flight, and The Walk, and that's just the Zemeckis movies. He's also scored many other popular movies, including Predator, Father of the Bride, The Bodyguard, Eraser, Parent Trap, Stuart Little, The Mummy Returns, Lilo and fucking Stitch, Van fucking
that's crazy.
Helsing, The Night at the Museum trilogy, G.I. Joe, The A-Team, Ready Player One, and several Marvel movies, including the Avengers movies.
Oh shit. he did
This
the Avengers
fucking
as
guy,
well.
he basically invented music. Him and John Williams together invented music to put on movies. It's insane. Like, his body of work is actually ridiculous. I knew his name already before this, but like having the pleasure of going into his background on this is just, his filmography it just never ends. Like that is a fraction. What I've just said is actually a fraction of the total work he's done over his lifetime. Just insane. He's another one that works on the Super Mario Bros.
What, the new one or
No, the 93.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So yeah, nice. Dope.
Insane.
Love that flick.
Absolutely insane. Seriously, look into his work. He's probably I don't know many composers that have worked on more movies than this guy, other than people like John Williams and the Hollywood sort of pantheon. But he would certainly be on there. Anyway, enough gushing about Alan Silvestri, but I definitely wanted to shoot out that list because holy shit, what a body of work.
Yeah, love a lot of those movies. Hate a lot of those movies, but love a lot of those movies.
Yeah. I mean, the music in this film, specifically The Abyss, is flawless. I think the way it like represents where you're at of each part is really cool because it doesn't just stick with the orchestral stuff. It has that for the grander epic moments, but it does also have like more mechanized sounding stuff and more like eerie spacey stuff for specifically the sub mega mechano moments of like huge rigs moving underwater, and obviously the little jellyfish people that you meet at the end. Like they all do kind of have their little themes. It's really cool. So following the descent, you have the initial dive and recon of the wreck of the USS Montana, and this is led by Dr. Lindsay and Michael Biehn. And it's strange because they all sort of work together really well in this moment. Like it's quite fluid and everyone's getting along. Like the chain of command is very clear.
But they haven't got the ocean madness yet.
No,
it's something that slowly sets in as they get deeper, I guess.
Yeah, and they start looking into this submarine, and it's around now, shortly beforehand, that you are informed as an audience member that the payload of the USS Montana was 120-something Trident missiles, one missile of which is like 5 times the size of the bomb that dropped on Hiroshima. So the sort of importance of salvaging this before the enemy becomes pretty apparent. And it's during the recon of the ship, the insides of it, which is where our diving team comes into their own and starts like picking apart the ship and trying to find any survivors possibly, which I thought was incredibly optimistic. But also looking for military documentation, actual like the state of warheads, if there's any like damage or leaks or anything that the government needs to know about, but primarily to salvage. That we get our first glimpse of the jellyfish, of the aliens in this movie. So we have big boy called Jammer, who is walking through with Bud Brigman, one part of the ship. He says he can't go any further because he's just getting scared. I think that is a version.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're going past a lot of corpses.
A lot of bodies.
And, this was a really, really tense, stressful scene because, again, it just stuck underwater, surrounded by all of these drowned people in just a huge metal tomb. It's just ridiculously stressful, and also just knowing that all of those people were actually underwater, holding their breaths and pretending to be corpses. It wasn't like wasn't mannequins or anything like that they were using. It was real people under that water, just holding their breath, and that definitely adds to the tension.
There's 2 points you made there, which I love about this movie. And one of them is the fact that it does have so many really human moments, like the tension of finding all these corpses and what that would slowly sort of, the degradation that would slowly make to your psyche as you're just witnessing all this death and destruction in front of you. And also the fact that visual effects will always and forever beat special effects a million times over. Like it just looks so much better. As much as horrible as it must be to corpse underwater, just like when is the scene going to be over?
I could not do that. I couldn't.
It'd be terrifying.
There's
wouldn't it?
no way. There is no way I could do what those extras did. It's just insane. They deserve their own award for things like this.
God, another guitar in the sun. Give me a sec. All my guitars are just going to melt one by one, and they'll just become one massive guitar. Yes. And the point, like, absolutely, the extras deserve a fucking. They could not have got paid enough to do this movie. Because.
No.
That's a ridiculous ask, but it's so worth it. Like, it looks so much better than having mannequins floating around, because you see, like, it's probably fairly imperceptible, but the fact that, like, the hairs on their body would have been floating realistically because they are realistically floating in the water, just says what I was just saying about visual effects forever and ever killing special effects. Another part of that is that I think this scene and other scenes of when they're diving underwater are all filmed in an abandoned nuclear power plant. that they just filled with water. Like 7 million liters of water or gallons of water. Fucking insane.
Ridiculously insane. The behind the scenes documentary on this movie was, I think, more entertaining than the actual movie for showing all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
I genuinely mean that. And that's not to say that the movie's a bad movie at all, but just the behind the scenes of it is just so interesting. The scale of what they did is just insane. And again, you're not going to see people really do that nowadays. Even James Cameron wouldn't do that nowadays because just CGI is where it's at now.
I also don't think you can get insurance, to be honest, these days to do that.
Hell no, not for something like this.
7-point-something million gallons of water filling up an abandoned nuclear power plant and then just having mateys float around in it. Like, that is just some out there thinking.
They literally had to make the whole thing out of steel and stuff like that to be an actual submersible because of the amount of pressure they were putting on it. That if they made it like the Ocean Gate guy did, that shit would have been crushed immediately.
Yeah, well. Oh, Jesus.
James Cameron doesn't cut corners.
No, he doesn't fuck about. He does not fuck about. And that South Park episode of him lowering the bar is kind of the inspiration I had behind going back and doing this again, because I watched it. I messaged you when I watched this with my dad, and he introduced it to me a few weeks ago. It must have been over Christmas actually. So I don't want to date this episode.
You'd not seen this movie before?
I think I had, but not like as an adult, and I hadn't thought about it since then or whatever. It was just like an old movie.
This is my first time seeing it as an adult too. I saw it as a child, and I remembered really liking it, but never saw it again until you suggested it for the pod.
Yeah,
I thought you had seen it. I just assumed that this was a movie that you had sort of appreciated over the years.
No, not at all. It was one that I had in the back of my mind for sure. And then Dad put it on again more recently because he was just like, like all us fucking autistic nerds, just gushing over the technical marvel of this and the cast itself and all that sort of stuff. So it's not that we like absolutely adored the movie, but it does have that Hearts of Darkness syndrome, Apocalypse Now thing where it's like, it's a good movie, but how it was made is a story in and of itself. So moving on from this dive scene, which again works so well because it's practical effects and because it's of the incredible human moments of that horrifying pressure of, I don't want to use the word pressure as a pun. I'm not using it as a pun. I literally mean like emotional pressure of seeing all these corpses and stuff around. You see a bioluminescence and a reflection of a strange ray-like creature in Jammer's helmet. And he becomes visibly very distressed, turns around and just swats his oxygen tank straight into the door because he's 8 foot of pure power and the only one that can kill Jammer is Jammer.
And this kind of stuff is exactly the reason why I wouldn't want to do these kind of deep sea dives and stuff like that, because it just really doesn't take much for you to hit your tank and cause a potentially life-threatening situation for yourself because you're in such a tight, confined space.
No, exactly.
Yeah, fuck that.
I barely know who I am above water. What business do I have fucking 20,000 whatever? How deep are they? I'm sure they must mention it a bunch of times in the movie, but it just didn't clock how deep they actually are.
They definitely do.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure at some point they do get pulled over 60,000 fathoms or something like that. I'm sure I had 60,000 fathoms mentioned.
How far is a fathom? Do you want to?
I have no idea.
Fill me in on that
one. I'm not a seaman.
It's so deep we couldn't fathom it. That's how deep that is. And at the same time as Jammer absolutely fucking himself over royally, you have the SEAL team discovering various bits of documentation that they seem interested in, so they take a hold of that. And Bud finding more corpses, and a key, I think the SEAL team picks up as well from around the neck of the commander of the sub. And that pretty much sums up the salvage that they are able to make. They don't find any survivors, but simultaneously, a remote submersible is attacked or just nudged or interacted with by an unseen force. So you have this bioluminescent reflection in Jammer's helmet, and also you have this unseen force that hits the remote submersible as well. We then have... I would suggest that that's the end of the first sort of act. Like, beyond this, it sort of changes to, like, the interactions between the two. So just instead of cracking on with the... instead of just cracking on with the second act, which we will get into, I think we've kind of covered my questions already, but we could just certainly reiterate. What is it? What do you think of The Abyss in general? Just go off, because you've said that you didn't enjoy it that much, but the technical marvel of it is something you appreciate.
Um, I really enjoyed the movie past this point.
Mm.
I really enjoyed all of the setup that we've had so far. The again, the technical side of it is all really interesting to watch. All of the characters are really entertaining and endearing, including the Navy SEALs. Even though they're kind of assholes, they're not as bad as they're gonna be yet. Um, it's yeah, I'm still sort of into the movie up until this point. In fact, it's not really until sort of end of second act that the movie starts to lose me, and I think it's just because the movie loses Michael Biehn at a certain point in
Interesting.
that confrontation isn't really all that satisfying in itself, and then after that you've got like another sort of hour of the movie
Yeah.
where not a lot is happening, and some stuff is happening and there is some tension there, but at the same time at that point I could kind of see where the movie was going, and it just there's a whole other hour of me just waiting for you to get to the alien so they can save your life, and that's it basically.
That is interesting.
And then the whole thing with the aliens also being like, we were gonna kill you, but we decided against it.
Yeah, so again, that's another
And
special edition only
it.
thing.
That
wasn't
is,
in the original. So I've read. As I said, I haven't actually seen the original before, but I think I agree with you in the enjoyment certainly lessening as we go on from this point in the movie. I think I enjoyed the movie more than you.
Well, everything that happens after this, for the second act, I'm also really, really into. The hurricane happening and them having to try and rush to sort things out, while the Navy SEALs have also been given their mission to go and get the warheads.
Yeah, I really like how that all
and
plays
just rushing out so they could do that, and it just causes so much trouble. I really like all of that stuff. Them getting pulled deeper into the trench is all so harrowing and so stressful, and then you have more of them trying to sort of escape into safe areas of their submersible and try and save each other, and people are drowning and getting locked into areas of the submersible that are just filling up with water rapidly and stuff like that, and it's all so tense and really stressful and really entertaining. And then you have crazy ass Michael Biehn just being a complete asshole to everybody and taking control of everything, and the other Navy SEALs who aren't crazy but are just following orders but should be able to see that this guy's crazy and do something about it, but they don't. I find all of that really kind of entertaining. It's just that the climax to all of that with just two submersibles crashing into each other repeatedly until one of them falls off the trench and explodes, or implodes. The implosion's entertaining. I really liked that. It is a cool way to die, but it just it is just them banging into each other until it happens, and then there's a whole other hour of the movie left with no Michael Biehn. And I just kind of lose it after that point. But everything up until that point is really good. So yeah, it's still a good movie. I don't hate it. I just don't see myself watching it again because it is very fucking long.
No, that's fair. I really do enjoy the movie beyond the death of Michael Biehn. I don't know how you could justify that character surviving without completely ruining the character arc of that.
Oh yeah, no, I don't need or want him to survive, but there is a full hour after his death where they've dealt with that side of things, and now they're just gonna deal with the nuclear warhead, and it just takes so long. Where
It is drawn
realistically, all that happens for that hour is one of them goes deeper and potentially drowns to save everybody else, but is then saved by the aliens.
Is that an hour long?
Pretty much all that happens
from the
for that
dive
hour.
to the end? Is that an hour?
I'm pretty sure it is. Because as soon as Michael Biehn died, I was like, "Damn, that's crazy. How long's left?" And I looked, and there was at least 50 minutes left. I'm
That's
sure.
the most Michael Biehn stan thing in the world. Just like, oh, he's dead. How long is there left on this? That's genius. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie.
Well,
I think what you're saying is fair enough. But I think that I really like the human interactions and stuff, the emotional impact of what happens later in the movie. Where it starts to lose me, I'm certainly not like the movie's biggest fan. Where it starts to lose me is the further interactions with the NTIs and the aliens and stuff like that, because I'm just like, this is done. It probably was impressive at the time or whatever, but having had alien interactions in movies now that I much preferred, like really terrifying or really enlightening interactions with aliens, where it makes you think about them in sort of a different light. This version of it is very, very spoon-fed morality, like aliens are better than us because they don't war for some reason, and it's like, well, how could you possibly know that? Like, you know, they probably had their own fucking wars. Why are they the only aliens down there? Probably because they murdered all the other ones. Like, it's you know, it's a bit too one-dimensional when he starts interacting with the NTIs. But
well, yeah, they were going to murder us.
yeah, exactly right. It's very strange. It's a weird high horse to take when it's so riddled with hypocrisy on there and like unanswered questions. Oh, there she is. What's up, Rosberg?
Yeah, see, she's very distracted. This is like the third time so far, I think.
She's a Michael Biehn fan.
Yeah, me too. Good kitty.
So we both watched the special edition. I thought the theatrical cut, from what I've read that it cuts out, I think it would make it a significantly worse movie.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree with that. I couldn't imagine this movie not having the sort of Cold War tension.
Yeah, that's
in
the
things
bit.
like that. Like, yeah, like that really does sort of help add to things and makes you understand why the Navy SEALs fuck things up during the hurricane, because of the orders they've been given and how important they see that. Because and I can see that adding to the paranoia of Michael Biehn's character, because he thinks that it's Russia doing shit and he needs to do something about it.
I actually don't think it makes any sense to cut out, like, fair enough cutting the other bits that they cut out, like, you know, sort of thinning out the relationship development between Lindsay and Bud or whatever, and not having the ending where the aliens were going to massacre the human race in the biggest hypocrisy of all time. But why would you cut the bit where they're all sat around the TV watching the news about the Soviet war? Because that's what... or the Cold War, because that's what ramps up the tension and justifies certain character behaviors. Like, it really doesn't make sense without those scenes, and I haven't seen it, so I can't say for sure if it plays, but it just doesn't make sense on paper to me at all.
Yeah, from what I've seen, everyone agrees that the special edition is the best version and the way to watch it. And you know, again, it's not a bad movie. It starts to drag towards the last hour.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I think we can both agree that this film does triumph most, outside of the technical marvels again. Its biggest storytelling triumph is the character piece that it is, like, in terms of how the characters are played. They're really endearing, as we said. So how do you feel about, like, Bud and Lindsay's relationship in this movie, given that it's quite like it's not a romantic movie, but their relationship is built in quite an intensely romantic way throughout the film. And then also on top of that, how do you feel about how the crew as a whole were portrayed in terms of their relationships with each other?
The relationship, I don't know. He seems way too willing to get back with her. You know, that's just crazy to me. I can't wrap my head around that. I don't get why she was so determined to be down there while this thing happened. I get that it's her baby, but she didn't need to be down there for the mission. And their relationship, it's okay. It is what it is. It doesn't it wouldn't cause me to save the world like it does for the aliens, you know? Like, I'd still send that tsunami regardless of seeing his message of I still love you. Like, dude still loves his ex-wife. There's so many people out there that are like that, and I don't think any of that's going to save the world. So their relationship is what it is. It's a mediocre part of the movie, in my opinion. But the rest of the crew and their interactions and all that kind of stuff helps carry it and make all of these people endearing, other than the fact that they're calling the ex-wife a bitch and being an asshole to her throughout the whole movie. That makes them all a little bit less endearing to me. She didn't deserve any of that, regardless of whether I think the relationship should have been fixed again.
Yeah, they are definitely a little
brash.
Deserve
to be a bitch.
No, not at all. I think I am in agreement, though, in that their relationship is played up to be much more important in terms of like how many scenes focus on it and how much dialogue is focused on it than it actually is. And it's quite weirdly jarring, the juxtaposition of the conversation about like you know, go to her, talk to your ex-wife, and it's like, we're so far under the water that any one of us could die of a million different things at any moment. Like, I genuinely have bigger shit to worry about. But as you said, the relationship between the crew is super endearing, and I really enjoy that aspect of the movie. But it makes sense because that's like a working relationship in their working environment. It's not a romantic relationship in a totally alien environment.
A romantic relationship that's ended has been ended for like 4-ish months at that point,
that
and
too.
she's already shacked up with some other dude. Like, that relationship is done. That's over.
Mate, were you not listening to the script? It's because she's a fucking bitch. That's why. Everyone keeps telling you.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have married her then.
Yeah, right. And the story about why they married is ridiculous as well, because that gets spoken about a bit. He talks to One Night about how they got some sort of suite room where they were working if they were married rather than if they were single.
Yeah,
if they were single, they just got a bunk in a dorm or something. So they got married to have the better room. Like, that is...
Yeah, I'm sure wonderful relationships could blossom out of that, but it doesn't seem like theirs was, and we're expected to believe that everything's going to be hunky-dory for them by the end of it. And
or
it's
even
like,
root for it. Like, why would
I
we
feel
bother
like,
rooting for it?
Yeah, I feel like the problems that you guys had that started way before this movie started, they're still going to be there way after this movie's finished.
Like, they hug after the whole ending, and, you know, they've saved the world and everything, and then they go home, and she, like, goes, "Bud, why didn't you put the toilet seat down? I've told you so many times." And he's just like, "Oh yeah, I've just remembered. You're a fucking bitch."
but I make you laugh.
Yeah, that is a strange one. So just last question for this bit before we go on to the next act is, what moment so far stuck with you the most, sort of emotionally? Actually, no, fuck that. For the whole movie, what moment sticks with you as like a peak moment, either emotionally, visually, technically, whatever? Like, what is one moment you would point to for this movie?
When I think it's Bud is getting trapped after what is it called, deep core, after deep core's been pulled further into the trench and everything's filling up with water and they're trying to close things off, and he just, doors are closing and you've got to try and get the fuck out if you can. When he's trapped in a room that's just rapidly filling with water, and I forget who it is, but someone else comes over and is trying to help them get that door open. That's a peak for me. That I can easily empathize with the stress of that situation, as much as I'm most likely never ever going to be in that situation, because I'm never going to put myself in a situation that could end up like that. I can easily empathize with it. Fuck that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's one of a few moments in this movie where I could literally taste the adrenaline. Like, it was... Yeah, as you say, it's super easy to empathize with, because that's just harrowing, as you say.
Bad movies can do things like that and make me enjoy them. You know, Deep Blue Sea is a trashy piece of crap, but I love that movie because there's a lot of that stuff in there. And I feel like maybe if the aliens in this were just sharks that were trying to eat them, I would have enjoyed this movie a lot more. But
funny.
after a certain point, the stress of them being down in the water, they know they're going to get saved and everything else is blocked off, so it's just like, we've just got to deal with the Navy SEALs. And I find that a lot less interesting than fucking nature, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's sort of like when... Because Lindsay's pretty convinced that the NTIs are intelligent because of the eye at the end of NTI, but also like
friendly,
harmless.
because
Friendly.
She
if not harmless,
says
friendly.
that they're friendly because, and she doesn't know, it's just the feeling. And I
Right.
get that. I get that vibe from the aliens the few times that we see them at that point. But yeah, if they were sharks that were trying to eat the fuck out of them, the
more
tension's
entertaining.
there for the entire movie.
Yeah,
You know?
if it was a real life scenario, like going for realism, I would want to believe that they're friendly as well, obviously, for my own survival and for whatever else. But in terms of entertainment value, if they were like openly hostile, I think that would have been possibly a more entertaining movie.
I find a survival movie a lot more interesting than what we get, you know.
Well, this is the science fiction aspect of it, isn't it? Like, science fiction likes to explore the possibilities rather than, you know, as you say, like the survival.
Which is all well and good, and there's going to be plenty of people out there that do really like this kind of alien and would rather have a nice alien experience. I just find it a lot less interesting to see.
Yeah. So moving back into the plot there, I forgot to mention as well that the Dr. Lindsay Brigman goes, and she actually is bumped into by one of the aliens as well, and tries to get like a picture of it or whatever, but is unable to. So it's a power cut in the team's submersibles leads to Lindsay seeing a strange light circling the sub, which she later calls a non-terrestrial intelligence, or NTI. Coffee reports this to the US Navy, calls it Russian, and immediately they go, yep, has to be Russian, accelerate your mission. And you again aren't told exactly what they mean by accelerate your mission. Actually, is this the part? No, yes, sorry, this is the part where they go find a warhead, arm it, wait for further instructions, which I think is such a fucking unbelievable escalation. I mean, it's fair enough for the time. The Cold War probably had a few of these moments. Certainly the Bay of Pigs and the fucking Cuban Missile Crisis were two that you can just name right off the bat. But this is insane, just being like, right, okay, Coffee, we don't know what's going on. We haven't had confirmed Russian assets. We haven't had any actual confirmation of any of these, visual or otherwise, but go and get a nuke and turn it on.
Be ready to use that shit.
Be ready to fucking use it. Yeah. Throw it like a grenade. Just,
we'll call you.
Yeah, right. Fucking insane. To his credit, as the true soldier he is, he just says fucking yes, sir, and turns around and just gets on with his job.
No questions asked. Doesn't even ask if he can take a submersible. No questions asked at all. He just does.
He just does. So they take the arm rig. What do they call it? Just the big rig, I think they call it. Which the crew need, in order to detach deep core interracial pornography from the ship above during the storm. So they completely fuck over everyone in this moment, and it's pure military arrogance. And honestly, it was a bit where I kind of like clenched my hands a little bit, because I was like, oh, that's so annoying. The fact that so many people get fucked over by this moment.
It's the way Bud comes out and is like, what are you doing? We need that, like, there's a hurricane coming. And all of the soldiers that are on the submersible have heard all of this, and they just watch them as it gets pulled under. And it's just, that's crazy.
Nuts,
that level of arrogance does really piss me the fuck
It's the fact that they're like almost smiling as well, like as they're watching, they're like, like you couldn't be any more classical bad guy.
I don't even need to dignify you with a response.
Oh, it's genius.
It's just fuck you, man.
So yes, Coffee's mission is to salvage a Trident missile. Yeah, he's the best, man. To recover a Trident missile warhead from the Montana, and he does so just as the storm hits the above, and this leaves the crew unable to disconnect from their service support ship in time. The cable crane is torn from the ship, so the ship is able to get away without issue. They're no longer attached to deep core, but it falls into the trench, dragging the deep core to the edge just before it stops, which was a tense fucking moment. I really like the way the whole sequence looks, how it sounds. The music is so intense. It starts, it is actually a bit of a mixture between the industrial and orchestral classical moments. Like, it has big, horrible dissonant violin swells as it's being pulled towards it. But in the bass, you hear some really interesting kind of synth stuff going on, which adds to the otherworldly feeling of where they are. So you have the classic Hollywood tension of an orchestra, but then you also have that undertone of like, we're not in the real world right now, you know? Very cool.
I like the fact that they couldn't see what was happening as well. Like, something was coming from above, but they had no way of seeing what it was, so they can just sit there and wait, and you're also sort of stuck waiting with them, like, fuck, what's going to hit them? In how much danger are they in right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Really good scene.
I thought it was awesome. Yeah, I don't have any notes on this. I thought it was acted really well. There are a couple of moments in this movie that I've spoken to you about before, about 80s, 70s movies. To be honest, all the way back to the birth of cinema, where if a script is stuck too rigidly and it's not natural sounding for the character, it can come across as just a script. Like, that's not how normal people talk, and it sort of takes me out of it. There are a couple of moments of that in this movie, but during this whole scene, I buy it. Like, all of it is acted so well, and it's just really terrifying, a lot of it, because the rig is partially flooded and they're closing off bulkheads as, you know, crew members are struggling to get there. And Bud even tells one of the guys to cut the hydraulic cables for the door, knowing that stops them being able to use the bulkhead and shut off that part of the ship, just so he can save his men, which is subconsciously really endearing as well, because that's like a captain wanting to save his men before the ship, you know, which is awesome. But unfortunately, he's unable to do so. So several of the crew do lose their lives during this flooding. But the power systems also, partially flooding the rig, and the power systems are also damaged, killing several crew members. This is where the Deus Ex wedding ring happens, as one of the bulkheads is closing on Bud, and he just slips the string in there, and it just like catches there, and it's like pressing like into the ring, and they're able to get whatever his name is, it's Sonny or one of the crew members, the gruff ex-marine crew member, to cut the hydraulics and save him. But yeah, that's a funny little Deus Ex moment, I think. The crew then waits out the storm.
Best part of the film.
Yeah. Best part of the film. I mean, it is terrifying.
100%. That was easily my favorite part of the film.
It is really scary. It's funny that like they put a Deus Ex moment into this. Like, it didn't really felt like it needed it. It was almost like when you then step back and you go like, okay, what is he trying to say there? Not that you need to necessarily, but it's like, did his
wedding saves lives? Yeah,
right. Did his wish to still be in a marriage with Dr. Lindsay like save his life? Is that what you're trying to get at?
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're going through a divorce, don't go through with a divorce.
Or you'll die. Like,
simple.
That's literally the only answer.
Don't take that as an answer, you know?
Yeah. Don't take no as an answer. Well, now we're back on Blue Velvet territory.
Yeah.
I want to stay away.
I realized what I was saying halfway through that, and I tried not to say no and tried to make it better, but I couldn't.
So you said don't take that as an answer.
You should always take no as an answer.
No means no unless you're 60,000 fathoms under the sea.
Yeah, unless it's marriage, in which case no definitely doesn't mean no.
But then there's the implication, so she's not going to say no.
Oh yeah, they're at sea.
Who knows what could happen? Bud knows what could happen, and that's why he kept the ring on, and it saved his life. So following this, they sort of take stock of what's gone on. The place is absolutely fucked. Coffee actually apologizes to Bud. So I think he says, I was just following orders. And I think that's a nod to the fact that he hasn't actually given in to the full high pressure nervous syndrome ocean madness yet. I think this is the tipping point. I think this is the tipping point. It's the guilt of that is where he starts to go, because it's, again, one of many human moments that I really love in this movie. Is it a very human moment of him sort of looking a bit unsure with himself for the first time, you know, seeing a fucking tatted up, muscular Navy SEAL apologizing to a civilian, unable to make continuous eye contact with him, and he says, I was just following orders, in true Nazi fashion. You know, it's very very human, and Bud, to his credit, just sort of nods and moves on. Like, he doesn't, like, you know, twist the knife any further. He just sort of nods and gets on with it, even though he must know Coffee fucked
pissed because other people are fucking dead because of this.
Yeah, exactly. The stealing of the rig was arguably the most heinous thing they do in this movie, because they never actually use the nuke. So they do arm the nuke and they're ready to use it, but I would argue that stealing Big Rig at that moment in time when they needed it more than they've ever fucking needed it, yeah, is probably their greatest sin. So following this, the crew waits out the storm so they can restore communications. There's a lot of hopefulness in the tragedy. This guy is on the phones and he's just trying to get in touch, saying Mayday. I can't remember the name of that character, but he's one of the crew. And it's, again, it's back-to-back really human, emotional moments that I really love, where he's saying, Bud goes, give it up, mate. Like, that, you know, they're not gonna hear you. And the guy goes, I have to keep trying. Like, my wife and my kid are at home. Like, I can't not try. And he's just like, right, yeah, well, you better keep going then. And Bud's like the coolest human being on planet Earth. There's no way anyone would be that calm and collected in this situation, because he's constantly coming out with like one-liners and stuff, and just, he's the most American man ever. I love it, and he's just so cool. Ed Harris is a beast. I really, really love him.
Yeah, he's great.
He's so good. He's so good. He made Westworld for me as well, Ed Harris.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too.
He was the best part about that show. Which, well, fuck knows if we'll ever touch on Westworld or shows or anything. I think we mentioned before we might do shows at some point, do like back-to-back special shows. Right. As they struggle against the cold, we have the Danny Darko scene with the water spear, which is really interesting.
The only thing that I remembered from this movie.
What, the water spear, the column of seawater.
Yeah, the Donnie Darko thing.
They find so they're all struggling against the cold. They're all sleeping.
T-1000.
They're all trying to stay alive, and they find that the NTIs have formed an animated column of water to explore the rig, which they equate to an alien version of a rover, the remotely operated vehicles. Though they treat it with curiosity, Coffee is agitated and in a different room. So whilst Dr. Lindsay is trying to communicate with this thing, he just shuts a door on it, just chops its head off in pure simplest answer is the correct answer fashion. He just fucking murders it.
He does then say that it was going straight for the warhead or something like that, and they all thought it was adorable or something. So like at this point, he is full on ocean madness now.
Yeah, because it didn't actually go straight for the warhead, right? Like it was communicating.
No, it was just hanging out.
Yeah,
it hadn't really moved from its position for a while. It was in front of all of the crew, making faces essentially.
Yeah, and sort of realizing that Coffee is starting to suffer from this paranoia, what is called high pressure nervous syndrome, which he sort of claimed to know all about and claimed to be safe from at the beginning of the movie. He's definitely suffering from it now. So Hippie spies on him through a rover, finding him and another SEAL arming the warhead to attack the NTIs, which was not actually his orders. His orders was to arm the warhead and wait for further orders, and now he can't get those orders exactly because of the lack of communications. So he's now moving on completely on his own volition. He hasn't got orders to do this. He's just doing his own thing, and he's going fucking crazy. Arguably more attractive though, like the ruggedness and the sweat. I'm just damn, you're a pretty boy.
Crazy Michael Biehn is hot.
Yeah, exactly. It takes a real man to make people more wet when they're already underwater.
Yeah, he manages it.
He certainly does. To try and stop him, Bud fights Coffee, which is one of the cooler moments in this, I think. Like, you know, they are trapped in this room by Coffee when Coffee sort of realizes that they're going to attempt to stop him. And then, what's his name? Again, I can't remember the names of the crew apart from One Night, which actually is credit to that nickname. But one of them swims with
Hippie,
Bud.
That's it.
And the other one, yeah. So they're trapped in the room by the Marines, who are keeping them in there because they know that they will try to stop them from using this nuclear warhead. You know, God forbid they stop them from using nuclear bomb.
They get handsy with what's her name? I forget all of the characters' names, but yeah, they get pretty handsy with the ex-wife. It's
Lindsay, yeah.
Yeah. And it shows that Coffee had the gun ready behind his back.
Yes, you're right. They burst in and they're demanding to know what it was that they're working on. They see that it's a nuclear warhead, and he's got his arm behind his back that entire scene, and no one mentions it. It's clearly he has a fucking gun, or at the very least a knife. Like, sorry, mate, is your back all right? Like, do you want to show us what you're hiding there? Because clearly you're not okay. But the Marines then lock them in a certain space to stop them from being able to get there. Jammer is unconscious this entire time, which is another Deus Ex moment, just the opposite, I guess, because the only person that can beat Jammer is Jammer, and he happens to be unconscious during this confrontation. Whilst they're locked in there, Bud, the all-American hero, volunteers to swim out through... It's not a moon pool. They go to the moon pool, but it's just another exit into the water below, to go swimming into another segment of the rig, and he finds Coffee just slowly rattling that chain.
Well, first he goes and checks on the door and decides that he can't open it without making noise, so he goes to see if he could handle Coffee on his own. And yeah, I mean, you continue.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, so Coffee's just there, like, just pulling on the chain, and then Bud sneaks up on him, could probably cross that gap and smack him, but decides to reach for his gun. But decides to reach for his gun instead, like I do with cops, like just constantly reaching for their guns. It's the stupidest meme on the planet. Like,
he literally does it in 1989.
Yeah, crazy. I don't understand the need for the gun at all. He could have just hit him. Like, okay,
he had his back turned and he was ready to take a swing at the back of his head with a big ass metal thing. You were gonna kill the dude, sure, but you needed to do it. And still, he's like, I'm gonna reach forward for the gun, and I guess maybe it's a case of he's thinking, if I get this gun, I can make him stand down by threatening him with the gun. But it's still just, you're putting yourself in so much danger and risking him seeing you, which naturally is what happens next. And now you're in a one-on-one with this fucking Navy SEAL. And
yeah, I don't understand it at all. That's the least sensible part of the movie, and it's a movie that has aliens in it.
That kind of takes me out of this scene. I think this is probably the point of the movie where I start to drift off
Sure.
and lose a little bit of interest, because you have that kind of stupid moment, and then you have a 1v1 with him and a Navy SEAL where the Navy SEAL has a fucking knife and he still wins,
Yeah.
which is just insane. And then straight after this is pretty much them in the submersibles, isn't it? So
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is the point where I start losing interest in the movie.
This is the end of what I would call Act 2 of
Yeah.
a 3 or 4 act movie. But yeah, it's the weirdest thing in the world. I don't even know if it's a you will kill him thing. If you smacked him in the back of the head, this is a combat
There is
seasoned...
a chance that he'd survive that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the chances are higher that if you hit someone in the back of the head with a big ass metal object, you're probably
might
going
die.
to do enough damage to kill them.
But, okay.
Especially when you're on the bottom of the ocean.
Okay, fair enough. If that is the case, then fair enough. He could survive. You could try and knock him out, or just distract him enough to pin him down, or whatever else. But he reaches for the gun instead, which is just fucking suicidal, as you said. But also, okay, you don't want to kill him, but he might be setting off a nuke underwater.
Yeah.
That will kill all of you.
Which will kill all of you and a whole bunch of aliens.
And him.
Potentially causing an intergalactic fucking fiasco.
Yeah, exactly.
The likes of which the world has never seen yet.
But it's like, so you don't want to kill him, but if you fail in stopping him, he will kill himself anyway. That's the bit. It doesn't add up.
Why didn't you just get the fucking door open so the ex-Marine dude could do it for you?
Oh, exactly. But there's also, so they've actually resuscitated one of the Marines that's like a good quote-unquote Marine as well, at this point, which I forgot to mention. It's really, really funny, because it's just the biggest dick move, other than the stealing of Big Rig, is that when Coffee turns around and sees Bud approaching him trying to steal his gun, he pulls his gun out, he pulls the trigger, nothing happens. Then, and only then, the other Marine decides to show everyone that he stole the clip from his gun. He could have told them at any point that that gun is useless, but he decided to wait just for cinematic properties, I guess, or to give it a bit of drama, like they needed it. I just thought it was so funny, because he looks up and he's got the thing and he's just flicking the bullets out and he sort of looks away and he's like doing this whole like dramatic look. It's like, what the fuck, man? You're not a Navy SEAL, you're a drama student. What the fuck is happening? I found that very amusing.
Well, what's happening is the movie's falling apart.
To put too fine a point on it. I still enjoy it. It is a less easy to justify certain story beats from now on in, but I still do enjoy this part. We'll get on to sort of more questions I had for you after this. So here we have the descent of Coffee, basically. The whole thing that follows this is Coffee's demise. He fights Bud. He's able to beat Bud, but then gets smacked apart by, I think, Sonny. The other Marine manages to fuck him up. But he does survive, because they didn't double tap. Always double tap. You don't just beat someone down and then leave their body on the floor. You got to make sure they're out.
Or at least tie them the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. They're too busy celebrating and fucking wanking over each other, and then they turn around and he's made his way off with the fucking nuke. Like, why wouldn't you? So Coffee's able to launch the warhead and escapes in a little mini sub. And he manages to launch the warhead into the trench, but his sub drifts over the edge after a big, drawn-out kaiju fight between him and Lindsay and Bud. Is it? Bud goes like
they're both
swimming
in
after
the
him.
submersible, and they bump into each other.
Yeah,
they reverse, and then they bump into each other again, and then they reverse.
it's like me with my
Bump
Action
into
Man
each other
dolls.
again.
Just
It was
smacking
me
them.
with my Action Man dolls as a kid. Yeah, 100%. That's it. Yeah.
It is a strange seeing that one as well, because they take the time to put Bud into like a fucking diving suit, which I think is really just James Cameron wanking over technology, because realistically that would take far too much time to actually deal with the problem at hand, which is literally incipient, if not in progress. It's literally happening as they're talking, and they take the time to fucking put him in a diving suit. Lindsay Brigman being the sensible one, again, even though she's a bitch, fucking goes out in a submersible. And yeah, they work together to bring Coffee to his demise. They do, he does launch the warhead, and he sub drifts over the edge. He loses all control over the sub because they've smacked into it too many times, because they were better at drifting underwater, I guess, is the moral of this story. Is if you're going to fight underwater, get some Tokyo drift.
What it is they were the ones that weren't by the edge. And that's it.
That's literally the winning.
That is it. They just weren't the people that were by the edge, so that's why they won.
It does look really cool, this scene. It's a bit of a dumb fight, but it does look quite cool, like visually.
I think the implosion looks cool, but the submersibles hitting each other, reversing, hitting each other again, I don't care for any of it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes, his sub drifts over the edge, and then he dies a billionaire's death, and the last thing you see is just his face screaming at the camera, which is really cool. Like,
I do like that moment where he reaches out and also she reaches out, feeling because this is he's a bit of a dick. He's a bit of a misogynistic asshole, but he's a dude that's stuck with ocean madness and he didn't deserve to die, but he needed to, and that's a shame. So like I like that there is a moment of her understanding that in.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that's actually another human moment that I really like. And when I refer to human moments, I'm talking about the emotional storytelling that happens in this movie. And I think it's arguably the best thing about this movie.
Oh, so you're not talking about the moments that that just don't have the aliens involved then?
Yeah, specifically when non-human entities get involved, you lose me. I'm so racist that I can't even watch Star Wars. Like, fucking ridiculous. No problem with a black Jedi, but aliens? Get the fuck off my planet, bro.
That's too much for me. That's way too much for me.
I could barely deal with there
green
being
dude
women
on the
in this.
Jedi Council. That's insane.
Little green dude. What's next? A woman? I really like Coffey's character. But do you remember when we watched The Burning?
Why? It's Michael Biehn.
Yeah. Do you remember when we watched The Burning? I said that the worst part...
Not for this podcast, but we just watched The Burning.
Yeah. And I said that the worst part about that movie is that both the characters at the end survive. In a really cheesy 80s way. It was like fan service. Not in a fan service traditional way that you think about it now with like tits or whatever.
It just takes away some of the emotional impact that you could have had.
Absolutely. And I feel that that's why Coffey needed to die in this. If he had survived and he had that kind of like regenerative character arc where suddenly he's a good guy again, it would have hamstrung the entire movie up to this point in his character.
I wouldn't have wanted that at all. Just there's another hour of the movie left, and not a lot is happening. And we lost the best aspect of the movie, which was Michael Biehn.
That was really funny.
And we've also lost most of sort of the underwater tension. I will admit that the next part of the movie is quite tense. It still goes on for ages, and at the same time, I kind of just knew that the aliens are going to save him.
You can guarantee it already because it's quite a hopeful tone.
He's the main character.
Yeah,
he's the main character. He's not gonna. This isn't the kind of movie that's gonna have the main character go out in that kind of blaze of glory suicide mission. It's too whimsical for that. It's trying to do a Spielberg thing. The aliens are definitely sort of more of an ET thing than anything else. So the aliens are gonna save the main character like in ET.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's a focus on hope, and you can't give a message of hope if your main character dies in a horrific or tragic way, which is just a problem that movies have. Like, I don't think that books suffer from that.
But you can have hope even in death. You know, death is a part of life, and someone who's willing to sacrifice themselves for his ex-wife, like. That could have been what stops the aliens from wanting to wipe out the Earth, but that doesn't solve the issue of the aliens just wanting to wipe out the Earth because of war, and that just being randomly shown at the end. There needed to have been a build-up of that kind of stuff.
Okay, like I would argue that the thing that I was getting at with not being able to have a hopeful message with having your main character die like that is because most movie-going audiences aren't, I don't want to say mature, but I can't think of a word enough for it. Like, most people don't want to sit and pick apart the thing of that. It's just whatever taste it leaves in your mouth. And if the main character dies, they're not going to sit there and go, actually, you know what? If you think about that for a second, it is quite a hopeful thing, and, all this kind of stuff. Which is why I think they went that direction. That's why I mentioned The Burning.
Hope and sadness is a lot more powerful to me.
Oh, me too. 100% me too. But I think that
what we get.
if you were to put this into like, you know, your classic Hollywood bullshit focus group or whatever, and Ed Harris's character died, they'd be like, oh, I really liked him. That movie really depresses me, rather than picking apart like the story that led him there and his love for Lindsay and all this kind of stuff. So I feel like, yeah, Ed Harris's character in this was never going to die, and I don't worry about him for a second in this movie at any point.
I'm worried for Ed Harris, the actor, because he's actually got water in his helmet as he's doing this.
That's insane.
Yeah, the rest of it, I'm not tense because of what the story is. I'm tense because of the filmmaking, and
a large part of the tension for me does get lost with.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good or a bad thing. It's just the way this movie decided to go, and some people will love it for that. I think it's a bit of a disservice. I just think it has that 80s thing of people surviving to make a happier audience, and the fact that Coffee
couple
dies
has got to
in this,
get back together at the end of it.
exactly right. That's exactly it. If they don't have that tie off at the end, it's not going to make anyone happy. With the burning, it was that the fucking camp worker and the kid or whatever had to survive because that would have been too brutal for the audiences or whatever. I'm like, mate, just fucking kill everybody off. Make it a brutal story.
Especially in a video nasty like The Burning.
Well,
but also
exactly,
I think he had... It's been a while since I've seen that movie. I've only seen it a few times, but he was involved in the initial burning, wasn't he? Which is why
the camp counselor.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Which is why he needed to die in that moment as sort of a payment for what he
poetic
did
justice.
In the past. Yeah, exactly. A bit of poetic justice at the end of the movie, but the fact that they don't do that does just... You could have tied the movie together, you know, in a nice little bow, but you didn't for some reason.
I also thought...
I don't get that.
On that subject, I thought Lindsay's character could have died. And it didn't, because it was an 80s audience that wanted the couple to get back together. You know that bit when they're talking, when she's trying to fix the mains the electrical system, and she needs to like reroute it because so much of it is fucked. This is like after they've been dragged down further into the trench. Their sort of love starts to rekindle, and he puts his arm on her shoulder and he's like, I'm really glad you're here. And she smiles at him in a totally non-cynical way, but she says...
Which was crazy.
Yeah,
Which was crazy. I'm so glad you're here. Really, trapped at the bottom of the ocean with you. You're glad that I'm here.
Insane
Thanks,
line.
asshole.
But she then turns around and goes, well, I'm not, like laughing about it. And I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Too right.
I would have thought the I'm not line would have been a really good foreshadowing for a properly tragic death. Like if she'd gone down with Coffee and died in that moment, I honestly think that would have been better. But that's because I love tragedy. I don't know why I love tragedy so much. I don't love being sad. I just think it makes a more impactful story.
It definitely does usually make a more impactful story.
I think so. Like, look at all the myths
But then
and legends
you need
of ancient
stories
times.
that don't have tragedy in them to make the stories of tragedy in them
more impactful. Yeah, if all stories are tragic, then no stories are tragic. You know.
Yeah.
Totally agree. This just what brought us onto this was Coffee's death scene, which I think was fucking needed in this movie. You might not have liked the fight scene, and I will admit it is a little bit cheesy.
Fight scene.
Yeah, quote unquote fight scene, bumper car scene. It was needed, and it adds a real ramp up to their situation, because yes, they get rid of an antagonist, but the nuke has descended to the living space of the NTIs. I can't remember how they decided that they live there. That was a bit of a stretch as well, because they come in at certain points and they see them at the submarine and shit. But like to connect that to they must live at the bottom of this trench.
Yeah,
no. Where did you get that?
She sees one of them go down there, doesn't she? And that's pretty much it. She's like, they must live down there. Like,
exactly. That's like seeing someone get on a plane to Thailand and being like, they live in Thailand. No, they fucking don't. Not necessarily. It's just silly. I thought that was really dumb, and it's a bit of a stretch.
That's seeing someone go in the direction of Thailand.
Yeah, that's
like, they must live there. Like,
yeah, like seeing them walk east and being like, they must live in China.
They must live over in Thailand. That's kind of not how that works, but okay.
But okay. Yeah, it's just not really touched on. Like, they just assume, and because she's a Dr. Lindsay Brigham or whatever, then, she must be right.
She made deep core. She has to be right.
She makes deep core pornography. She must be right. Just before we go into the next part, I would say the final bit of this act is what happens with Bud and Lindsay now. So Bud's mini sub is now inoperable.
Yeah, where the cameraman wipes the camera.
Oh, is that
This is
this
the scene.
scene?
Yeah, this is the scene.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay. I'll need to rewatch that because I really like this scene. I think him trying to fix the puzzle together of how they're going to do this, and her just trying to tell him to sort of quote unquote man up and deal with it and do what they need to do, which is quote drown her, in order to survive. Was really cool. I don't remember seeing this hand pop in.
It's because it's such a tense scene in those sorts of moments, and when it's because he shouts and you can still see his face when the camera cuts, so you're still locked onto his face as he's shouting, but and it also just kind of looks like it might just be some debris or something that goes past the camera, but it is definitely a hand wiping the camera.
So
lens.
funny. That's why I need you on this podcast, man. I would never have
I can't wait
that.
for you to see it.
Yeah,
I can't wait for you to see it in just because you'll understand how obvious it is, but also
Sure.
how really subtle it is because of how the scene's playing out. It's
gonna
really
be
cool.
It's gonna be like that moment of when you see Aragorn's sword fall out in Lord of the Rings and you just can't ever unsee it again. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, hilarious. Right, so to tell this part of the story, with only one functional diving suit, they're trying to figure out what to do. They can't get the electronics working. I love how he fucks shit up even worse. Like there's water pumping out from behind this electrical unit, and then he just like pulls on it, sparks fly out, and everything goes dark. It's like, yeah, nice one, bud. That helped. But they only have one functional diving suit, and Lindsay opts to drown and hope to enter deep hypothermia, because deep hypothermia, I think the justification is that the cold of the deep hypothermia would mean that her organs don't completely shut down like they would if she drowned. It would just slow down the processes on the way to death, requiring less oxygen. So as she drowns, she won't actually die, I think is the hope. That she doesn't have, need as much oxygen to the brain. I think that's the justification, which is fucking crazy because she ends
I
up
don't
being.
understand any of it, but I believe scientist.
No,
She made deep core. She can do this.
Yeah, I really think this is like in a film with aliens, this is honestly one of the hardest to believe moments because it's like her idea is to enter deep hypothermia so that her processes don't require as much oxygen to survive. Like she basically goes into like standby mode. So that when she drowns after, incurring deep hypothermia, the drowning won't matter as much because she'll still have residual oxygen in her, and it, it won't run out as quickly. But she's out for like 6 minutes. Even if she did come back, she'd be retarded. She'd actually have brain damage beyond hope.
Yeah, she would definitely have brain damage.
It would be insane, honestly.
She would
Like,
have starved out of oxygen.
they're getting her back.
Yeah,
I would have had my
it.
arm around Bud, like, dude, even if you do bring her back now, like, that's a cruel thing to do to someone in this moment. She will forever be crippled. Sorry if we have to bleep out that word, but she'll be mentally retarded beyond hope. But anyway, that is what they do. They defibrillate her about 8 times, and Katie was watching this with me, and she's like, "You're only allowed to defibrillate someone like 3 times, otherwise you kill them." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. That's good to know as well," because it's sending electrical signals around to restart the electrical signals that happen around everyone's heart and lungs anyway. Like you have this electrical muscle interaction, which is actually electricity, just not in the way that we understand it through circuitry and things like that. But he swims back to the platform with her body. And she does enter the hypothermia and drowns, and they use a defibrillator and administer CPR again for about 4 to 6 minutes of him crying and shouting. And the acting's fucking really good. Ed Harris in this moment is
Bitch,
great.
wake up, bitch! Ah!
Yeah,
I love you, bitch!
Meanwhile, she's just
Wake
got Tilly
up!
hanging out, just like blue, blue, blue. I can't
Is
believe
that,
you didn't
is that
know
the
it.
scene?
This is the
No,
scene. which is like,
I didn't notice, but again, I mostly lost interest in the movie. At this
Also,
point, so...
mate, I have found I always knew her as Maid Marian, but Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, since I saw Robin Hood as like a 9-year-old,
I haven't seen that
she's
movie,
so
so
hot, dude. I find her so unbelievably attractive. Honestly, like Jesus Christ, what a queen. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, and they revive her there. She does end up coming back, coughs, and suddenly she's totally back to normal, having been oxygen starved for, as I say, like the better part of 10 minutes, which is fucking absolutely bonkers. So that brings us to the end of Act 2, I would argue. Got some more questions for you here. What should we ask Jordan now? Right, we touched on the water tentacle sequence. The CGI. Does it stand up now, or do you think it looks dated?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it still stands up. It does look exactly like the T-1000 from Terminator 2, and I think that still holds up completely. Yeah, I think it looks really good. I don't. I couldn't tell what face it was making, like the characters could, but that didn't really matter to me. I still thought the entire thing looked great and didn't take me out of the movie at all. I think it looks better than a lot of things that we get now
I agree.
because it's used alongside so much real practical stuff.
I totally agree.
I think it looked really good, especially for the year. Insane, but
Exactly.
I mean, Cameron really did push the boundaries for special effects.
So I believe this was Industrial Lights and Magic, the same people that did the Star Wars stuff. I believe it was their studio. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. Let me just do a quick search for that. ILM.
I mean, they've done a lot of stuff.
Oh, I can't find it now. Maybe I just made that up. But anyway, my point being that the CGI, I agree, in this moment does stand up really well. It's certainly better than other bits of CGI that you see throughout the movie. I don't know about what you said about it being amongst the visual effects or the practical effects, because wouldn't that make it seem worse by comparison?
What do you mean?
Like having CGI amongst the practical effects usually makes the CGI look worse.
That's what the whole point of CGI was initially, is just to sort of dust up on practical effects. But
Right.
I mean, I guess I do see your point, and I can agree with it if it's bad CGI. But this is good CGI amongst incredible practical effects. So just everything on the screen looks good and feels kind of real.
Yeah, I buy that. And also, I do think it stands up to today's efforts. I see a lot worse CGI in real major studio movies.
Because it's all used so sparingly in
exactly.
this movie. Other than the aliens, nothing really is CGI.
No, that's fair. Also, you mentioned about the face. I think I could tell that it was Master Antonio's face, but when she smiles at it, and it smiles back, it does like the goofiest, ugliest smile in the world. I would be fuming if I was her. I'd be like, what the fuck are you suggesting, alien? That is ridiculous. It was like, there's like a Cheshire Cat smile with like fucked up teeth and shit. Oh, it's crazy. It's so bad. It reminds me of that bit in The Far Side's Your Mama, where it's like, your mama's got snakeskin teeth. That's what that reminded me of. Right, what other questions do I have here? I've got a bunch, and I look back on them now and I'm like, well, we've covered that already. What do you think of the sound design and score? So sound design, obviously, being separate from score, things like Foley and actual sound effects that you hear on, impact of stuff, like the underwater sound, and then also
the sound
the music
design
as well.
was incredible. I don't want to upset you when I say this, but the score was kind of forgettable to me. There's nothing in there that stands out to me or anything like that, but it was passable. It was a serviceable, good enough score. I got what it was going for.
You're not going to upset me. I didn't make it, but I know I am a big Silvestri fan.
Yeah, I do really like Silvestri, and he does have some really memorable movie scores that I still listen to. But yeah, there's nothing in this movie that I'm going to be like, oh, that's going on my Spotify, like there is for plenty of other movies.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think I do agree with you there. What I like about this isn't necessarily
like it's
individual
no Forrest
themes.
Gump's theme.
Sure. What I like about Silvestri's work on this is that it's not necessarily individual songs. It's how he approached putting different motifs and different music behind different aspects of the movie, like representing each aspect of the movie. It sounds really obvious, but actually working on that from scratch, you have like no basis for it. Yeah. And I think he absolutely crushed it. Like having the weird sci-fi, like I think there's a theremin in one point, which is like your classic fucking alien sound. But amongst like, a sort of rattling, like really deep octave sub bass, which sort of then represents the underwater stuff.
And I wish I did, because I fucking love theremins.
I don't know for a fact that there is a theremin in it, but
I could believe it. I could believe it.
Yeah. I'm saying that it's that kind of like not word painting, but he's like painting images with the music, with different instrumentation. And I think that's an awesome thing to achieve. It would have been really easy just to stick with an orchestra. Yeah, it would have been really easy for him to just stick with orchestral stuff through the whole thing and make it like a classic Hollywood thing, but he chose to go industrial to represent the mechanism points and everything that goes on mechanically within the movie, and then also really strange synth stuff for the aliens, and all matching that together with the orchestra. I think is a really cool achievement.
Mm.
Knowing how grueling the production was, do you reckon that's visible in the final product? Does the effort show in the actual results, or is there anything about the sort of, the difficulties in production that they had that you think seeps through the cracks? That wasn't a pun, but there we go.
Yeah, I think again the behind the scenes stuff does sort of carry me through the movie, and especially what's coming up next. Again, because in the movie, all of the water that's in his helmet is supposed to be keeping him alive, right? But in real life, behind the scenes, that water was actually in his helmet, and he can't breathe at all while he's trying to act and perform and move really slowly towards this nuke. So all of that stuff is carrying me through the movie at this point, because everything else I've pretty much lost interest in.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I think it's a tribute, or a massive kudos to the actors that went through that shit to be able to pull off any happiness whatsoever at any moments. Yeah, absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So
Ed Harris is insane for going through with what he does, and
yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Cameron's insane for putting him through it. But
to even ask someone to do that, it takes someone that hasn't, it doesn't think about people in the way that normal people think about people, I think.
Yeah.
Now, again, I'm not knocking James Cameron or whatever, but Jesus Christ,
Which is
how
why
can you ask someone
so
to do
many
that?
people come out the other side of a James Cameron film saying that they're never going to work with him again.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, the underwater sequences in this movie are obviously like such a huge part of the identity, if not the identity of this movie. It's all very like claustrophobic and isolationist. And I think, speaking about practical and special effects, I mean, I think he did the right thing. I don't necessarily want to say that to put a button on it, but fuck me, it worked. For me, it worked anyway. Like the sense of claustrophobia and isolation, do you buy that as well? Like, or did that fail for you the same way that the relationships did?
Yeah, I do buy it, but again, it takes such a sort of backstep towards this point in the movie. Like, they know that they're gonna be saved at some point, so there's no real sort of tension of them trying to survive. They figure out how much oxygen they have, and it's like, well, we get saved, cool, and that's kind of it. There's no tension in that isolation for long.
Well, when they're talking about the oxygen,
second act, but
sure. Well, when they're talking about the oxygen levels, it says about how they have 12 hours, but the storm will last longer than 12 hours, and she can try to attach it to an external oxygen source or the oxygen tank. But I think they do talk about the fact that they don't know how they're going to survive and they may die. The only reason I don't feel that tension is because of the whole 80s fucking hopeful Spielberg E.T. vibe that we were talking about earlier. Like, it's like, okay, so you're telling me that they may die, but I don't believe it.
So are you saying that this entire sort of end portion of the film, they're doing everything they can to stop the nuke, knowing full well that they're most likely going to die at the bottom of the trench?
It really doesn't make any sense.
Get saved because they have no idea.
Well,
they don't know that they're going to get.
I don't think they've spoken to them yet, because they don't actually hear from the above water team until after they quote unquote lose Bud. I don't think it's mentioned. So they're going into it thinking that they're going to run out of oxygen and die. I don't remember a part where I mean, I may be wrong, but I don't remember a part where they talk about sorting out the oxygen issue.
And yeah, I feel no tension in the later half of the movie, because none of them are worried about the fact that they're dying. They're worried about the person that's gone off to drown now, but none of them thinking about how in like fucking 10 hours that's going to be us.
They're all going to die as well. Well, maybe they're just overly distracted by the whole nuke thing.
But it all sort of adds to take me out of the movie. But I mean, that's just me.
No, totally fair. Okay, here's a question. If The Abyss came out today, do you think it would be a hit? Would modern audiences connect with it more, given that the Cold War has moved on? However, we are sort of somewhat on the cusp of a similar situation with Russia today.
Yeah, I think it still probably hits exactly more or less the same. The people that enjoy the movie are probably still going to enjoy it. There's definitely going to still be people that can enjoy this movie now because of how tense it is in certain places, and some people are going to really appreciate the hopeful message in the stressful Cold War Part 2 times that we are now.
Yeah, I think I care about a
I
message
think it
less than I
definitely still
care
holds
about
up.
a story. Like that's my thing. That's why
Yeah, so do I.
I'm not a sadist. I don't want people to die because I love people being in pain. I just like a good, compelling story, and I find tragedy hits so much better than like victory a lot of the time. You know, so it's not like
But there is still victory in tragedy, and
yeah,
the tragedy makes that victory all that more special.
yeah, I agree. It feels a bit more earned. Um, so well, I guess like I think I know the answer to this already, but would you call like how would you rate The Abyss next to other Cameron flicks?
Yeah, so,
Terminator,
it's
fucking
towards
Aliens.
the bottom for me. I of all of his movies, I think the only one that I've seen that I didn't like is Avatar. I haven't seen the newest Avatar, so I
Me
can't put it
neither.
on the list. But this is above Avatar for me, below everything else.
Avatar felt like a Marvel Disney movie, which is funny. Like coming from James Cameron, I know it's like again another insane technical marvel or whatever else, and it's grossed like billions of dollars and all that shit. But that is it's just bollocks, that movie, isn't it? Like it is
Yeah,
actual
it's
bollocks.
it's Cameron taking a massive step away from what's always really endeared me to his movies, and the things that make this movie special are the use of practical and special effects. Like Terminator 2 does it beautifully,
Hmm.
and I don't really think there's much out there that can match the absolute insanity in the scale of Terminator 2 for its
No,
action scenes and
I
stuff
think
like
that's
that.
very valid. I mean, Aliens. I know Aliens gets panned and stuff, but that's another one you and I went to see together in the cinema when they
Aliens
reshowed it.
gets panned?
I think in terms of it, well, not as a movie, but I've heard it compared to what Aliens set out to do, and then you have Aliens as an action movie rather than like a horror. I think it, like you know, it gets
Oh
panned in
yeah,
that way.
some people prefer the horror aspect, and yeah, don't get me wrong, I prefer Alien to Aliens, but he did the exact same thing with Terminator, because I'd say Terminator 1 is a horror movie
Mm.
and Terminator 2 is balls to the wall action. It's kind of just one of the things he does with sequels, I guess. It would be interesting to see Avatar 2 and see if that's actually a horror movie now. That would be cool.
Like to flip round the other way round. He's gone from like just balls to the wall action movie to like actual horror. But yeah, Aliens. What I was going to say, like as much as it gets dicked on for being a breakaway from the horror of the original Alien, I loved it. I thought it was
Yeah, me
fucking
too.
sweet. It's
And
a great movie.
it still has plenty of horror in it. It's just an action horror rather than like a slasher horror, which I would
Yes.
say Alien is.
Yeah, I mean that's probably true. Like a science fiction slash. Oh, that's a good point. I mean, I would love to do Aliens on this. Alien, sorry, on this, and pick that apart. That would be really
Yeah,
cool.
for sure. I haven't seen that movie in a while, but
Yeah, me neither.
I love Alien.
Yeah, I like
Incredible
Aliens,
movie.
but yeah, Aliens is
Yeah,
the better
I like
of the
both
two.
of those movies.
Yeah, that's
Shit, we
totally
can
fair.
do Aliens 3 too.
Yeah,
We can
fuck
do
it. Why
Resurrection
not?
if you want.
Let's just do all. Let's go all the way to Prometheus. Fuck it. Let's go.
I mean, shit, we can do Alien Covenant. I still haven't seen it.
I still haven't seen it either. To be fair, I haven't even seen what's the
Romulus, which has just come out.
Romulus. I haven't seen that. Yeah.
Well, I say just come out. I think it's just come out on DVD and Blu-ray recently.
Right.
But yeah, I haven't seen that. I still haven't seen Covenant, which came out years ago.
It's the same with the Predator franchise. Like I haven't seen Prey yet. I heard that was really
Oh,
good.
Prey was awesome. Yeah, I really fucked with Prey, but I prefer the Predator franchise to the Alien franchise.
Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
Predator has more good than bad, whereas Alien, it feels like it's getting to the point where it's more bad than good. You know.
Well, only one of them had a future governor of California in it, my boy Arnie. So you know that just you're winning already. Like before you've even started the race. I prefer the Predator movies as well. I think they're more fun. Alien is awesome.
Yeah, but I
I
mean,
had more
Predator
fun with
1,
Predator.
great movie. Predator 2, great movie. Predators, I really enjoyed. The Predator is
Don't know if I
probably
ever
the only
watched that one.
that I thought was kind of crap. The rest of them I thought were pretty good. And Prey, the newest one, really good. So
I need to
out
watch
of all
Prey.
of those, one bad movie. Whereas with Alien, I really love Alien and Aliens. Alien 3 is...
You know what?
It's okay.
I've definitely seen it, but I don't remember anything about Aliens 3.
And yeah, I would say the same thing about Alien 3, that it's just mostly forgettable, whereas Alien, it's just mediocre. Alien Resurrection is a bad movie. And Prometheus, I really didn't like Prometheus. And I heard a lot of bad things about Covenant, so I just haven't bothered with it. But already the last two movies I didn't like, or the last three movies really I didn't like, because Alien 3 is just boring or forgettable, which is just not a good thing for a movie to be.
It is a shame, just that the nature of a franchise is that it needs a really good root. It needs a really good base to then justify a franchise. But then as it goes on, each movie you make can weaken the franchise overall. It's just sort of the nature of it. Like, you're trying to squeeze money out of it, but from an audience going point of view, you're trying to expand the world, you're trying to expand the story. And so many times it just fails to do that. Instead of just trying to be like a cash grab of whatever theme or motif is popular at the time.
Yeah, just look at the Terminator franchise itself.
Well, exactly. Terminator 2 is fucking brilliant.
The peak they haven't managed to come even close since then.
No. I saw what was the one Emilia Clarke was in?
Oh, I haven't seen any of them since
Genesis.
Salvation, to be honest.
Terminator Genesis. Garbage movie.
Genesis.
Honestly, terrible fucking movie. She has
I'm sure it is.
Really unconvincing American accent in it. It's the weirdest thing
and
I've
then,
ever seen.
was it Dark Fate that came out after that? Which they're like, hey, we've got Linda Hamilton and Arnie back. And I think James Cameron was a writer for it. And I heard that one was pretty awful too. But
they need to like work out when to put franchises to bed. It'd be interesting to see the projections of these, like whether or not they were actually successful financially, and that's why they keep going. Because obviously the studios need that to be able to be like, all right, we're going to make another one. But they just, someone up in that tower, in that big ivory tower, needs to fucking figure out when to put franchises to bed and give brand new scripts a chance. Like, really start giving brand new scripts a chance. I think the problem may lie with the same things that happen with music labels at the moment. Frank Zappa spoke about it, in that it used to be that the heads of studios and the heads of record labels were businessmen. They weren't like moguls in and of themselves. They didn't think they knew better than everyone else about movies and music, so they gave stuff a chance because they were like, oh, I don't know, like, you know, it's up to you guys, the A&R guys, to figure out what's going to work and what doesn't. Whereas now all the executives are moviegoers and music fans in their own right, so they're like, well, I know that everyone's into hip hop because I'm into hip hop, so let's do more hip hop. And it's like, okay, but the hip hop's getting worse, and we need to do something about that. Like, you can't keep making these stupid little fucking mumble rap trap beats, because they are getting worse. But they have insane marketing, so on paper it looks like they do really well, like massive box office hits in movie theaters that everyone then turns around and goes, that was shite. You know, it's strange. Like, I wish they'd give brand new scripts and brand new kind of artists and writers more of a chance on the bigger screens than they do.
Which is why I try to get out and see as many sort of independent films as I can, or anything that comes out that looks like it's something new and original or creative. I make it a point to go and see it and give it that my money, and not go see the new Marvel movie, because that's going to be on Disney Plus soon enough anyway. If I really want to watch it, I can watch it there.
Exactly.
I need my fucking money,
and it's going to get, you know, it's going to break records and it's going to do all this anyway. Like, I feel like we don't get the upsets. I don't mean upset negatively. We don't get the big surprise explosion movie. It's all, we already know that this studio and this franchise is going to smash the record, and it's always a James Cameron movie, it's always a Marvel movie, it's always something based in that kind of thing. And they just absolutely rape franchises to pieces, like Terminator and Alien and Predator, and it's a shame. Well, there we are. Anyway, enough depressing chat. So I actually need to keep an eye on more independent movies, because instead of looking forward to upcoming independent movies and like going to see those, I just watch old movies. It's what I end up watching old fucking movies.
More of that now than anything else, but it's hard, especially where I live, to be able to see things at the cinema, because we just don't really get them, or if we do, it's for one night only and stuff like that. Like, Infinity Pool is the perfect example. It got a single showing one night, and that was it. Meanwhile, like, I think it was it was like Captain Marvel or something like that was on at the same time, and it had like 27 showings in a day, whereas this movie's only got one really late at night, and these movies are guaranteed to fail because they're not actually getting released. It's a joke.
Yeah, it is a joke. They're hamstrung from the start because they're not being able to be given the platforms and the marketing, because it all comes down to the mathematics rather than the artistry at the end of the day. There is a hole in that argument, in that you can't argue that Marvel movies aren't an artistry in and of themselves, because, and we're ignoring the successes, just don't even talk about that, but you can't even define artistry like that. Of course they are an art form. But they have so much less interest the more of them you make. Each one, you dilute the amount that are already in the fucking atmosphere.
For me at least, if you're out there still sort of in love with Marvel, more power to you. Go see those movies. But there doesn't need to be 27 of those being shown in a day to the point where it's taking screenings from other movies. You know, like, I think Our Odeon has like 11 or 12 screens in when a Marvel movie comes out. That's taking about 8 of them.
All
and
day.
Everything
else
just gets everything else gets the dregs. And no movie should have that many screenings in a day if it's stopping something else from being shown.
Well, I think that puts the sort of full stop on the point that I was making about Zappa's argument with the music labels, which also applies to these movie studios, is that they're not doing anything to expand the art form. They're only trying to continue the industry side of it. So with market record profits consistently back to back, they have to, just by nature of the capitalist system, they have to make more money than they did last time so that they can grow and pay dividends to shareholders and stuff like that. Like, so they bank on what they can already guarantee with marketing is going to be huge, like Marvel movies and the new Avatar or whatever. And it is really upsetting.
None of this is to say that I despise Marvel. Like, I don't. I'm still watching Daredevil, every week. So I'm still sort of a part of it. It shouldn't have that many screenings. It shouldn't have such a stranglehold on the industry, because other things can and should exist.
Yeah, exactly. Like, to put it into a music thing, it may surprise you to know, but I'm a pretty big Billie Eilish fan. Like, I really do like her music, but I don't think she should have won all 4 major Grammys that year that she did. And I think even if she possibly deserved to, you could make an argument for, certainly other people probably deserve to be more in the running than they were ever actually considered to be. You had 5-6 nominees for each category and you picked her for every single one. Like, why is that the case? Also, Beyonce winning a Grammy with her fucking country album, it's dog shite, mate. It's a fucking dog shite album, and there are a million albums that came out last year that deserve the Grammy way more than she did, but they are independent artists and they never get known, and they would have put more effort into the songwriting, they would have done all that, but they don't have the marketing grandfathering that Beyonce already has. And Beyonce in there is an analogy for the bigger movie studios and things like that as well, or rather her record label is. I just think it's really upsetting the way that the industries work, the entertainment industries work there, is that they're not trying to forward the art form in any way. They don't care about it.
But there is still great and wonderful and deeply beautiful and entertaining art out there that is still being made and released and is accessible. You just need to look for it and find it, and it's easier said than done, but it is out there.
Now, what upsets me is the people making it, the artists and the directors making it, don't get the financial recompense they deserve to then continue making that kind of art form. Like that director, if he makes one movie from the bottom of his heart and it's a most beautiful fucking movie, it has such a huge impact and or emotionally on the people that go see it. I'm not talking about cultural impact, I'm talking about specific individuals getting impacted by this movie. If it's not a box office hit, he's going to be looked at as a possibly failed director who's then never offered an option on a script again, because they're like, oh no, I would give you that script, but you lost us $20 million. It's like, it's massively upsetting that they don't then get the chance to expand on their artistry.
It's the state of the industry nowadays, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is wildly frustrating, and I don't mean to bring anyone down in an otherwise fairly lighthearted conversation.
These things happen with the industry every now and again. No, it goes up and down. At a certain point, these Marvel movies are gonna crash and burn and stop being made as ridiculously as they are now, and other things will be getting released. Every day more and more people are getting tired of seeing the same old shit and want something new and original. It's just a matter of time before
it is a cultural
calling out for it.
Yeah, it is. It does come in waves and stuff like that. Like when the first Iron Man, just to stick on the Marvel example, when the first Iron Man movie came out, it's not like superhero movies were particularly lauded. It's because of the
No.
success of that movie, which is arguably a really fucking good movie. It's just a perfect example of how they just stretch it out as thin as possible until it fucking breaks. Like, just stop before that and support artists trying to move the art forward. For God's sake, take a risk, bloody capitalists. We need to socialize the entertainment industry. Nationalize the entertainment industry and the trains. Anyway, back to the Abyss. So where did we get to? We got to Lindsay's miracle revival, and somehow she comes back with all her mental faculties still in place, having been oxygen starved for the better part of 10 minutes.
Power of love.
Power of love. It's then
Curious thing.
It certainly is, as is her survival. But it is decided that they need to disarm the warhead, which is, a fairly obvious decision, I think. It's what you should do with most warheads. But it is more than 2 miles below them, and they are already miles below the ocean. One surviving SEAL, who they call Monk, helps Bud to use an experimental diving suit equipped with liquid breathing apparatus to survive at that depth. Now, looking into the background of this, I heard that apparently this is based on successful experiments in this field that were made.
Yeah, apparently this is a real thing.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
It's oxygenated liquid that you then breathe into your lungs, and somehow that helps you breathe. I can't get to the end of this to understand it, because all water has oxygen in it. It's the O in H2O. Right, so we were talking about the liquid breathing thing, and apparently that's based on like a real thing. What I don't understand about any of it is that oxygen is a fundamental part of all water. Oh, I'm out of breath. Fucking hell, I've just been running around the house. Yeah, give me a sec. I need some liquid oxygen. Fucking give me some right now. Yeah, I don't understand it. The O in H2O is oxygen. So can I just go and do that? Like, just stick my head under the water, and as long as I breathe it into my lungs, I'll be fine? I don't really get it. I
guess so, yeah.
It's really, really odd.
Science.
Supposedly it's based on real shit. And they show you that by testing it on a rat, but they don't actually show the rat.
It made me highly uncomfortable.
It made me massively uncomfortable. Did you see a version where they showed the rat being put in the water?
Yeah, in like a Ziploc bag.
So I saw that version, and then in the one I watched more recently, it's cut so you don't see the rat being put in the water. I saw it.
I would have preferred that, I think.
Yeah, I saw it on Prime. So clearly they've
edited
it.
This was about to go the Cannibal Holocaust route.
Yeah.
I was uncomfortable. I wasn't expecting it.
No, the first time I watched it, well, the time before last that I watched it, it showed that scene, and it was hugely uncomfortable. And then in the Prime one, it just shows them looking down on this thing as it's squeaking, and it's actually pretty horrifying anyway. But then they just gives the rat back to him. He's like, "Look, it's fine."
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it was a real rat that they used, and it was doing the real technique, so it was perfectly safe. But like, that is some real fear that you're seeing in it, is it thinks it's gonna fucking drown. And yeah, I didn't like that.
I don't understand the science behind any of this. I mean, I barely understand science as it is, but yeah, I'd have to have someone explain that to me like I'm 5. It's very odd to see this guy just having liquid just enter every orifice and it being totally fine. He's got his eyes open in it as well, which must have been fucking excruciating. But following this, they say that he's going to need that because the pressure would otherwise destroy the open cavities in his chest, and that the liquid allows him to breathe without being crushed by the pressure. And he can only communicate through a keypad.
All Michael Biehn needed.
Yeah, right. Oh, if only Michael Biehn was liquid breathing, he'd still be here today.
Shame.
So yeah, they give him a keypad, and that's how he's able to communicate. And immediately he starts with the one-liners, being zippy Mr. America again, just shooting all that sort of stuff.
He's got time to waste.
Yeah, right. And he's just, it's quite, I like how he sits there for a moment, waiting for it all to happen, and then the panic of having the liquid enter his lungs and everything kicks in, and he starts like rocking himself back and stuff. I actually thought he was rather well composed for someone that was having this stuff like flood. Like, yeah, he shoots himself back and he's rocking and stuff. I'd be standing up throwing arms at people and shit. Like, I'd just be going
trying to save yourself. Yeah,
exactly. He then begins his dive. Everyone is very tense. They don't want Bud to leave. He is clearly the favorite of everyone there. He's got the trust of the crew and everything. And
don't leave us with this bitch.
Yeah, oh my God, I can't deal with Lindsay anymore, Bud. Like, fucking, no one else here wants her apart from you. So if you're gone, what the fuck are we supposed to do? But he begins his dive, and I actually really like this sequence of the movie. The whole isolation, the darkness, and everything as he's going down deeper and deeper depths, and everyone's like, this is fucking ridiculous. And Lindsay has to talk to him. And she starts telling him about the depth he's at, and someone goes, no, really talk to him. And she's like, oh, remember that time when I sucked your penis and it was really romantic and stuff? And that's supposed to keep him alive. And underwater, he's just like, fucking, oh, I'm so horny right now. Like, I've got to stay alive so I can have sex with this woman one more time. Yeah, I think it's a really cool sequence, the whole dive. He goes lower and lower, it gets darker and darker. He's got a rover with him that they call Little Geek, which eventually succumbs to the pressure itself, and they're no longer able to keep track of him, and that's when he's truly on his own, going further and further into the darkness, until he sees the bioluminescence around and is able to find the warhead, sort of tucked away neatly on a little shelf, conveniently. Monk then guides him in successfully disarming it. I think one of the funnier moments comes out of absolutely nowhere, where he's like cut the black and white wire, not the yellow and green wire or something to that effect. But in that light, they look exactly the same. He goes to cut one, second guesses himself, cuts the other. I just thought that was unnecessarily funny. But yeah, no, I did enjoy it. After this, he successfully disarms the warhead. Well done, Captain America.
We nailed it.
Yeah. At which point he says, I knew this was a one-way trip, baby. Which was...
He's only got, like, what, 5 minutes of oxygen
5 minutes
left?
worth of oxygen, but it took him 30 minutes to get down there. But I love the Team America
fucking
homage.
time wasting sending messages.
Yeah, right.
Probably is only a 5-minute trip back if you stop fucking typing.
Yeah, right. That's the curse of the modern day, isn't it? They were sort of predicting that, when everyone's walking around on their phones, walking at half the speed that they could be walking. But I love I knew this was a one-way trip, babe, because they homage that in Team America right at the start as well, which is absolutely beautifully done. He tells Lindsay he loves her and just waits for death.
And inadvertently, he has saved the day.
Which we will touch on in just a moment. As he is getting closer and closer to death, one of the NTIs, an alien, approaches Bud, takes him by the hand, and then, in the worst special effects of the movie, drags him through this tunnel. You see the alien city, which actually looks kind of cool. It's very Phantom Menace, when they see like the Gungan city and stuff. Like it's very reminiscent. But the way that the alien drags him through the tunnels, and he's just like not moving in conjunction with the way you would move like through fluid on the way through this tunnel, and he's just like static, and his face of wonder with all these lights going by when he was probably just looking at like nothing. Like it's very, very funny.
I was very bored through all of this.
Oh, that's fair. I quite like it just for the funny factor, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's not the most exciting part. It does sort of take you out of the immersion, because it's a bit tonally, it's a bit of whiplash, isn't it? Because you go from like this dive, which is just super intense, and he's going further than anyone's ever dived before, trying this like new technology, which might work,
he breaks
might
the
not
record,
work.
doesn't he?
He does, yeah, and then some.
Cool
He goes like
Guinness.
further. Yeah, that's cool. Guinness is such a funny line to say. Like, even down there, he's got his
Shut
composure.
the fuck up and go do this nuke thing so you can come back.
Oh, it's very funny.
You're running out of oxygen.
I love how he's misspelling, because he's down in that like in the coldest part you could ever be in, like colder than anywhere on Earth or anything like that. And he's mistyping, and the seal just goes, oh, he's crazy. He's lost it. he's unable to type properly on a keypad in 1994, so therefore he has lost his fucking mind. That made me laugh a lot. He's then saved by the NTI. The NTI dumps him somewhere, and they provide him with oxygen in this little like arena in the round of oxygen, while they're sort of staying away in the water, like questioning him about himself, and they start to point out all the background war stuff that's going on at the time, all the Cold War
They're
pressures.
not actually talking, by the way.
Yes.
If you haven't seen
Yeah,
the movie.
yeah.
They don't actually talk.
No, they're projecting the images onto the sheet of water behind him somehow, and showing everything that's going on in the world, talking about like nuclear explosions, and showing like clips of World War II and all this stuff that's going on with how the human race has consistently sort of devoured itself. After which it shows them about to attack every coastline in the world with 1,000-foot waves, just to wipe off humanity from the face of the earth. They want to play God and remove the human race, which I love a villain that you can understand the motives of, and as we said at the beginning of this, this ain't it. This just isn't it. It's such hypocrisy. Why are there no other aliens under there? What did you do with any other biological creatures that developed? Did you kill them? Because if so, what are we doing here? And then what saves the whole human race is the fact that
there's one person being able to love someone. It's such a cop out.
I mean, it is. I can't even argue it. It's very cheesy. It's very Americana. It's one of those things. Like I said earlier, I think it would have been better with a tragic ending, possibly for Bud. I don't know if a rewrite of that sequence would have been necessary. Like, I don't think the nuke should have gone off. I did toy with that idea in my head, but I think that would have been a bit much.
Yeah.
But yeah, having them be like, we were going to completely destroy at the time 5-6 billion people, but we didn't, because this was a one-way trip, baby.
But also, it feels like we could have done this at any point. We're deciding to show it to you now, I guess, for some reason.
So dramatic effect.
Like, hey, look at this thing that was going to happen, but like, you're such a good guy because you love someone that we're not gonna wipe out humanity.
No.
Really?
If it's a 30-minute descent, how long have those waves been building? Probably like over the course of 30 minutes, and they could have done that at any point in the movie when they met, the NTIs onwards.
They could have done it before the movie even started. I guess, what is it that's made them wait this long?
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit of a plot hole. But it is what it is. Makes for a movie,
I suppose.
It's not
necessarily a plot hole. It's just that I have burning questions that I kind of feel like either need to be answered, or you should have just cut this out of the movie, which they do in theatrical. But even then, apparently, it just feels. What is the point in the aliens then? If it's because then they're just kind of there, And the aliens are just kind of there anyway because they don't really do anything other than stop Bud from dying. The aliens are just very pointless in this movie. There is no point to them.
I like the fact that they're showing the ramp up in aggression between the global superpowers because of the sinking of the Montana, and pointing out the fact that the human race is inherently self-destructive. I agree with all of that. It's just their solution to it is strange, and the timing is strange. It's just really odd, just being like, oh, we decided to race the tsunami against you to see which one happened first. And the fact that you sent that message just before the waves hit the coastline, lucky you. It was a bit of a weird one. Following this, on Deep Core, the crew is waiting. They haven't heard anything from Bud since the confirmation that the warhead was disarmed, and that he knew it was a one-way trip and was just sort of waiting for death. They're all just sat around in the cold. I don't think they think they're going to survive here, like we said earlier. I think they're all just sat around waiting for the storm to blow over so someone can get in touch, I guess. I don't really know. I don't have any answers for that. But the crew is waiting for rescue when they see a message from Bud that he's met some friends and warns them to hold on. They call ahead to the Navy, and they start just giving them the most fucking passive-aggressive reprimand. They're like, oh, the aliens have said that you're all bitches and you need to be better to each other and hug more. And if you don't, then they're going to wipe out everyone. Or they're not anymore because of his text.
But they could, so be good.
Yeah.
It could happen. You
know what? Don't be good for goodness' sake. Be good because an even more powerful weapon of mass destruction awaits you at the bottom of the ocean. It is strange. Like, instead of giving the message of, like, be good to each other because you should be good to each other because we're all in this together, it's be good to each other upon fear of death. So it's not really much of a character arc for the world. They talk, they give the Navy a nice slap on the wrist, tell them to behave themselves. Bud comes up saying, I've met some new friends and to hold on, and the entire base starts shaking. The lights come up from the trench, heralding the arrival of this alien ship or this alien city, which rises through the ocean surface, with the Deep Core and several of the surface ships running aground on its hull. The crew of the Deep Core all exit the platform, surprised they're not dead from sudden decompression, so they did something to us. And then Dr. Lindsay said, oh, they did something to us, and then smiles. And out of context, that is such a funny line. Just being like, oh, the aliens did something to us, and she smiles, just remembering their
Galaxy
tentacles.
Terror style.
Yeah, right. Just thinking about what they did with those tentacles. They see Bud walking out of the alien ship like he's just won Formula One at Monaco. And then she runs up, gives him a big hug. And that's the end of the movie in classic 80s American style. Big crescendos on the orchestra. Everyone's happy. And as we all know, this movie stopped all wars from now on.
You are right then that they are literally in danger from the moment they're pulled under till right at the end.
I think so.
I just lose all of that. I just lose all of that tension for some reason in the last hour. That might have been down on me just for lack of paying attention to it at that point, I guess. But I mean,
I don't think you can blame the audience in this moment because you're so focused on like the alien side of it and the fact that they're not concentrating on their imminent death. They're instead focused on Bud going down to this warhead. But you can do two things at the same time, especially seeing as there's fucking like 12 of you. Like one of you could have done something to assist in the meantime, but no, they're all stood around the computer talking to Bud.
Yeah, I guess it's at a certain point they must just resign themselves to the fact that they're not gonna have oxygen for much longer and there's nothing they can do about it, so why even try, I guess. But if there were just some characters in the background going through some other tense shit just to do with the flooded base or something, I would, again, I just enjoy that stuff a lot more than aliens that do nothing other than save you at the end for next to no reason other than the power of love. It's just so fucking corny.
They must love that song. That's what it is.
I love that song too. I love Huey Lewis and the News.
Yeah, absolutely.
Patrick Bateman, man.
But you know, if I had made up my mind to destroy the entire world, it would take more than Huey Lewis to really fucking steer me away. Yeah,
I don't know, actually, Huey Lewis could probably save the world.
You reckon? Hopefully, it never comes to that. But you know, it is a strange one. Like I do love this movie, but its weakest part is the ending. I think that for me is without argument. I don't think you can be blamed as an audience member for not picking up on the lack of tension at the end when all these people have just resigned themselves to death by oxygen starvation. Like,
it has a really strong first 2 hours for me, and then the last hour or so, I did kind of lose any and all interest, and it was a struggle to keep paying attention for the rest of it.
No, totally fair. So that brings us to the end of the movie, and it is done in a very, very triumphant way. It's a little bit self-satisfied because it's like, oh, we got the message across, yay, a big hug, and zoom out, and the Navy's been told what for, and all this stuff. And like I said before, we all know, since 1989, there have been no wars. So thank God the aliens were here.
One Piece was achieved, so I should love this movie, realistically.
Ed Harris for president, mate. Like, fucking...
He was, back in 2012, remember?
Let's date this and just be like, oh yeah, do you remember like in 2026 Ed Harris won against Donald Trump running for a third term. It's a strange one. So I wanted to touch on the production of this, which we've made reference to throughout, but H.G. Wells, it says here, was the first to introduce the notion of a sea alien in his 1897 short story In the Abyss, and I think it's fairly obvious that that's sort of where some of this came from. You've got 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea with Jules Verne as well, which again is a 1800s story of traveling deep underwater for a long time, and you have that kind of isolation and tension. And as a setting goes, it's a gift. Being trapped underwater is the same as being trapped in space. It's that level of of tension and
it's
inhospitable alien environment.
Yeah, the outside is trying to kill you.
Yeah, exactly. Like the very atmosphere you are in is trying to kill you. So
you're in an area humans are not built to be in. Good luck.
Yes,
and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that must be where much of the inspiration came from. It does say, while making Aliens, Cameron saw a National Geographic film about remote operated vehicles operating deep in the Atlantic Ocean. And it says throughout a lot of the background research on this that a big part of what made him want to make this movie was his obsession with the technology behind all of it. So you do then have to question whether or not just wanting to get fancy over tech is a good enough reason to write a story that would compel people emotionally.
Yeah.
Like, is it a good enough reason?
It's a good enough reason. It's a good enough reason as any to write a story and make it. Any reason to pick up a pen and fucking make a story out of nothing is a hell of a good reason.
I don't know if I agree. Only because
Really?
because you're then trying to fit character emotional arc around an excuse to use tech.
It can still be done. Like
I think it should serve the story.
Make a good story.
Well, it does serve the story in this sense, and I think, I mean, it's a good story anyway. So maybe this isn't a great example for my qualm with that, but I just don't think. I think it should come from the story first, and the tech should serve that. Like, maybe it inspires your imagination, totally fair. But from what I gleaned, it's like, I want to use these diving suits. I want to use these rigs. I want to use these submersibles, like these hypothetical submersibles.
So
and
what
stuff.
sort of story could I make that could get me to use that? I think that's a great writing prompt.
I don't think it is, and I think it should have gone the other way around. He just happened to pull it off in this circumstance, at least for the first 2/3 of the movie. The cast and crew were trained for underwater diving for 1 week in the Cayman Islands. This was necessary because 40% of all live action photography took place underwater. 40%. Yeah. Fuck. Just the toll that must have taken on all of them.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. It's a crazy amount, and the movie's worth watching for that reason alone.
100%. They had to design state-of-the-art communication systems that allowed the director to talk underwater to the actors and to have dialogue to be recorded directly onto tape underwater for the first time ever in the history of cinema. And apparently that failed, which is like, not all the time, but apparently it failed enough times to cause panic throughout, which is just the nature of state-of-the-art tech. But when you're underwater and suddenly you can't hear from anyone,
very, very muffled and stuff like that. So it would start out clear and then it would so they just stopped using it.
And the panic that must have set into some actors at points, like definitely set into a few named actors at points, if you're just unable to hear the direction, and you're just like, fuck, do I just wait? I can't wait. I'm underwater. Like, I cannot stay here, Apparently, there was a point where...
And that's what makes panic set in. You're in a setting where panic is one of the worst things you can do.
Yeah, panic is the thing that's going to kill you. Apparently, there were a couple of times where a few actors stormed off, and Master Antonio famously walked off and said, "We're not animals," and sort of, stormed off. And you know what? I think she was probably in the right. It made for a great movie, but goddamn, you couldn't pay me enough to do it.
I think Ed Harris or Michael Biehn or one of them tried to hit James Cameron at some point because they nearly drowned.
God damn, that's heavy. 2 specially constructed tanks were used. The first one, based on the abandoned plant's primary reactor containment vessel, held 7.5 million gallons of water, 55 feet deep and 209 feet across. The largest freshwater filter tank in the world at that time. That is, to do that for a movie is just tremendous. We'll get onto the budget in a second, but good God. The main tank was not actually ready in time for the first day of principal photography, so filming was delayed for a week and pushed the smaller tank schedule forward, demanding that it be ready weeks ahead of schedule. That would ring huge alarm bells for me if you're like, okay, fuck, we're pushing this forward to fit your studio schedule when we're dealing with massive water pressure and actual paid actors to be under there. Fuck that. Absolutely fuck that. Yes, Jesus Christ. So it says more about the breathing fluid and all that sort of stuff, but those are the production things I really wanted to just sort of mention here as we come to the end of this episode, because I can't imagine being part of a project that big and that disinterested in human well-being.
I wouldn't have wanted to be on this movie at all.
Never, ever.
And there's a lot of movie shoots that are like kind of famously stressful and horrific and just really shitty conditions that I would love to have been a part of. And this is not one of them.
This is not one for me either.
This is a level of danger that I am so far uncomfortable with. Just water in itself. It makes me highly uncomfortable. Like high amounts of water makes me highly uncomfortable.
Interesting. I don't particularly like have that like thalassophobic thing, like the fear of open bodies of water. I don't have that, and I don't have a fear of like being underwater or anything like that at all. But it's just when you start getting into the realms of a nuclear plant being used abandoned or otherwise, and then 7.5 million gallons, and just the numbers get so high that the moment I can't reconcile that kind of scale in my mind, I'm like, okay, this isn't a place for me. Like I'm just little old me.
Once you get into a point of being in a huge piece of metal, that like just a huge fucking metal tomb that's underwater, I'm just out completely. I have no interest in that. I'll go in it when it's above water so I can see what it's like and see the conditions people put themselves in to do these things. But yeah, I'm not doing that myself.
No, absolutely not. And fair play to them for doing it, but goddamn, I don't think you can ask people to do that
every single
today.
person on the cast and crew of this movie had major balls. I couldn't do it.
Huge balls, and that's what actually kept them down in the water instead of floating up, was just the
weighed them
size
down.
of their balls.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, just everyone's balls collectively.
Yeah, all of them together created their own kind of weight under the water to keep people down, and that's what
their
brought
own anchor.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's clearly a triumph mechanically and technologically, and it comes off really, really well. It looks beautiful. Yeah, not a lot else to be said about that.
It's a good looking movie, and it is really well shot. It is really well made. That last hour was so boring to me.
I think you may be on the side of a few of the critiques here that people have. So we'll go on to the box office stats. The Abyss was released on August 9th, 1989 in 1,500 theatres, where it grossed 9.3 million on its opening weekend and ranked number 2 at the box office behind Parenthood. It lost out to Parenthood.
Are these reviews for the theatrical cut or the special edition?
That's a great question. It may be for the theatrical cut. A couple of them. I imagine they would be, because they wouldn't be collecting those same box office critiques until the actual theatrical showing, right? So I imagine these were for the theatrical cut. It went on to make 54.2 million in North America and 35.5 million throughout the rest of the wide world, for a total of 89.8 million against a budget of 43 to 47 at estimates. So it definitely made its money back, and that explains the ridiculous lengths Cameron was able to go to, because that is an insane budget at the time for a movie.
It's not a huge win, but it's not a loss.
No, and I think it feels like he probably achieved what he wanted to with this movie, looking at it back.
Yeah.
I don't see how it could have looked much more like it was underwater, so fair play to them.
I mean, over the years, it would have made way more money through DVD sales and stuff like that.
I'm not worried about James Cameron.
Didn't have a Blu-ray release until quite recently, maybe, if it had one at all. So it wouldn't have made any from Blu-ray, but it did have a theatrical re-release last year, and it would have had a theatrical re-release for the special edition as well. So I have no doubts it's made way more money than
I'm sure
we could be aware of.
I'm absolutely sure. There's a joke to be made about Blue and Ray for this movie, but I can't figure it out right now. So just imagine I said something really funny.
Yeah.
Don't try the crab dip. So on Rotten Tomatoes, The Abyss has 89% approval rating at time of filming this, based on 55 reviews and an average rating of 7.4 out of 10. I might just round that up to 8 personally, but I could see why it's, not higher than 7.4, 7.5. I imagine, just guessing, that you might rate that a bit lower.
I don't like giving things.
Oh, sure, like exact rating,
a number rating, but yeah, it would probably be lower than that for me. But then I have no way to gauge what number this movie is.
Yeah, totally fair.
I liked it. I don't hate it. I just don't see myself seeing it again, at least anytime soon.
Okay. The critical consensus states the utterly gorgeous special effects frequently overshadow the fact that The Abyss is a totally gripping, claustrophobic thriller, complete with an interesting crew of characters. That doesn't really dig into the missing...
For the first 2 hours, yeah, I completely agree.
It doesn't really dig into the missing 2.6 score out of 10 or whatever, which I think all falls off at the kind of crazy ending. Which, again, I don't hate, and I certainly didn't find it boring, as you did, but... yeah, I feel like you're sort of glossing over the fact that it does have some pitfalls there. On Metacritic, the film has an average score of 62 out of 100 based on 14 critics, indicating generally favourable reviews. Totally fair. The reviews tallied therein are for both the theatrical and special edition. An audience polled on Cinema Score gave the average grade of A- on an A+ to F scale. So generally, you can see it's a pretty appreciated movie. It's pretty lauded. And again, I think fair enough. There are some times when, as you say, like the making of the movie is almost a more interesting movie than the movie itself. And that may be the case here.
Yeah, the behind the scenes stuff on this was fascinating to watch, and sort of hearing the stories from people about this just stressful nature of it. I'm into that.
Yeah, that's fair. So we'll go through a couple of the actual verbatim sort of summarizations of the critiques here. David Anson of Newsweek, who I believe we've quoted before, the theatrical release wrote, "The payoff to the abyss is pretty damn silly. A portentous deus ex machina that leaves too many questions unanswered and evokes too many other films." I didn't have that qualm with it. I get the first part. It is pretty silly, and the deus ex machina like being saved.
I agree
for the
with
sake of being
all
saved.
of it, other than the derivative of other films.
What do you think he's referring to?
Yeah, I have no idea, other than maybe talking about aliens because of the characters, and it's just alien but underwater kind of thing, and the aliens aren't threatening. I don't know. I didn't get it
with
that. I agreed with all of what he said, other than that part.
Maybe I just haven't seen enough movies of that time to know what he's talking about, or maybe like I'm just not paying enough attention to the James Cameron formula. But
I feel like underwater aliens is kind of an original idea, even though you said it was from a H.G. Wells story. Like Lovecraft did it as well. You know, there's a lot of aliens under the water from Lovecraft and things like that, but it does still feel original, because this is still probably the only movie I can think of where it's underwater aliens.
Yeah, I can't think of any of the top of my head. I'm sure there are some, but when it's evoking too many other films, I guess in the themes or whatever, I don't really know
maybe,
too many.
Like, because I did think it's very, for the first 2 hours at least, it is very much like Day of the Dead underwater, and the zombies is just the ocean, which I was into, because it's, scientists versus soldiers, or the blue collar workers versus soldiers, and that the sort of tension in between that, where they're in something that's deep underground, deep underwater. There are similarities in areas to other things, but then that's storytelling in general. There's similarities to everything and everything.
Yeah, I
don't think
totally
this
agree.
movie was derivative in any way, really.
No, and those seminal texts from H.G. Wells and Jules Verne, they were written 100 years before this movie came out. So it's like, it's everything is evoking something else in terms of theme, because we all share the human experience. I can't think of any movies off the top of my head, so I don't know if that's fair. But maybe he is referring to a James Cameron slew of storytelling at the time. Again, it's difficult to say.
I mean, it is as I said, with the characters and stuff, it is quite similar to Aliens and things like that.
The next one is from Karen James at the New York Times, and I do agree with part of this as well. She wrote that the film had at least 4 endings. And by the time the last ending of this 2.25-hour film comes along, the effect is like getting off a demon roller coaster that kept racing several laps after you were ready to get off. I wasn't ready to get off. I did enjoy the ending. I didn't think it was too long necessarily. She's talking about the theatrical release, so that's even shorter. But I get the 4 endings thing. There were points where I was like, it would have been a tonally very different movie if you ended it at certain points. Like if you had him go down and disarm the nuke and then literally die there, I was like, oh man, that would have been a hard-hitting movie. And then you could have ended it with them getting rescued, but the tragedy of losing Bud, and all this stuff.
I mean, I checked to see how long was left after Michael Biehn died. That's the first ending for me.
Imagine if they just ended the movie there. Michael Biehn dies in the submarine, and then they just put there was no point writing anything else for this movie.
Nobody cares about the rest of it. Or some of you do, but Jordan definitely doesn't. This is for him.
Fucking, they put that in the credits, or they put that just before the credits, 6 years before you were born. I love that. I think you would agree with the roller coaster analogy there. I agree with the too many endings thing. But it just reminds me of focus groups. people wanting to see the hero survive, people wanting the love interest to be realized at the end. Like Lindsay could have died in this movie. I thought that would have been a cool story beat. I come off really like maudlin when I say that I want these characters to die. I don't want them to die. I just think that the deaths of major characters ramp up tension in a way that nothing else really does, and it's a really effective story beat to make shit very real.
It's just when they're saved by a Deus Ex Machina, that's when it leaves a sour taste, and it's like, well, I mean, maybe it would have been better if you just killed this character, because then there's actual stakes and emotional complexity to the story.
Yeah. What I love about some of these as well is that the critics are trying to like do like seafaring puns and stuff. Like the critics are just the worst people, man. They're always trying to like, it's an art form in and of itself, and they're just being like, hey, look how funny and insightful I am at the same time. But this one, Chris Defoe, no disrespect, Chris, in his review for the Globe and Mail wrote, at its best, The Abyss offers a harrowing, thrilling journey through inky waters and high tension. In the end, however, this torpedo turns out to be a dud. Fuck off, dude. It swerves at the last minute, missing its target and exploding ineffectually in a flash of fantasy and fairy tale shtick. Again, I see where he's coming from. I don't hate that that wrap up. The ending is really strange. It's a strange kind of the only thing that mattered was the text you sent to your wife is really the bit that comes across. So yeah, no, I see it.
Saved by the power of love, and it's not a kids movie, you know. Yeah,
exactly. It's not some underwater tryst adventure between mystical, whimsical heroes. It's human. It's supposed to be real. You know, they're talking about the Cold War as a background and everything. So at least do us the respect
an adult story.
Exactly. At least respect the audience enough to be like,
love more.
Yeah.
I
think you can respect audiences, I think, outside of like, really naive focus groups, which I don't know if you could tell, but I hate fucking creativity by committee. I fucking hate it. Respect the audiences a bit to try and appreciate that they can hold on to a story despite losing the favorite character. Other than you, with Michael Bain being gone. But if Bud had died or if Lindsay had died, I don't think that would have been a bad thing.
Well, if the rest of the movie was compelling in any way, I wouldn't have cared about Michael Bain dying when he did and there being another hour left. But again, I looked and it was like, oh fuck, there's another hour, and just nothing happened in that hour to justify that length to me. You know, just
I see what you're saying.
I do like the movie. I don't want it to sound like I hate the movie at all, but yeah, I don't see myself seeing it again.
That's fair. Much of the other,
at least.
That's totally fair. Much of the other critiques follow the same thing that you've just said. I think you are certainly the majority for that. Rita Kempley at the Washington Post says that the film asks us to believe that the drowned return to life, that the comatose can come to the rescue, and that driven women become doting wives, that Neptune cares about landlubbers. I'd sooner believe that Moby Dick could swim up the drain pipe. Fair. That honestly wasn't my least believable moment in this movie. Any of that. I think the least believable moment is the timing of the tsunami attack. Oh, I suppose they wouldn't have seen that. So yeah, I guess fair enough. But like suspension, I don't think that's necessarily fair, because suspension of disbelief is part of enjoying cinema, right? Like, as much as I talked about other characters dying, that's not for realism. That's for ramping up tension and ramping up the consequences of people's actions in a movie.
Yeah, I do completely agree with you there.
We'll do a couple more, not too many. We've got one. We'll do the Roger Ebert and Siskel one after this. But Peter Travers of Rolling Stone enthused that The Abyss is the greatest underwater adventure ever filmed, the most consistently enthralling of the summer blockbusters, one of the best pictures of the year. I think he liked it. Yeah, clearly he's never seen The Little Mermaid.
Anyone that likes this movie, anyone that loves this movie, and there's going to be a lot of people out there that do, more power to you. It's not a bad movie at all. Like, I just don't like the last hour of it.
Yeah, I mean, the last hour is just, it's too sentimentally attached to the aliens and the saving of the main character. I think it doesn't really do a service to the story in any way. It's
The
kind
movie
of,
could have not had aliens in it, and I would have found it a much more entertaining piece of people stuck at the bottom of the ocean.
it would have also made it a more human story. Not, I mean, I know that sounds obvious, but if again,
That does sound really obvious.
if we're only being, well, what I mean by it is if we're only being nice to each other for fear of aliens wiping us off the face of the earth, then we're not really properly being nice to each other, are we?
But that is human, because a lot of people are only nice to each other for the sake of divine reward at the end of it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, totally true. So, but I guess the message I would have preferred is, let's all, be good to each other, because we are all in this together. Like, we're not different species. We're all human.
yeah.
So let's do
So
it for the sake of each other.
If maybe Russians got involved in the end of it, it also helped save the day, along with.
Oh, could you
the aliens
imagine?
or
Could you
something like
imagine
that.
if the NTIs actually turned out to be Russians helping the fucking American crew the whole time, but the American crew was just so under that high pressure paranoia or whatever that they saw them as aliens instead of Russians? That would be
the,
so
the
funny.
aliens do literally nothing other than add to Michael Bean's ocean madness, and just save the day by sheer fact of being able to give oxygen and depressurization. But you could have written a movie where you didn't need those things to happen,
Mm.
and just not had the aliens in it. And if you did want it to be a story about people coming together, you could have had it so the Russians are the people that got involved to help save, along with the Americans, because
Mm.
they didn't want they just didn't want people to die at the bottom of the ocean or something like that.
Yeah,
It just would
yeah.
have been, it would have been corny still, completely, but yeah, it just would have been a little bit better for me.
It would have got
I
the
think.
intended message across a bit more sensibly, I think.
Yeah,
'Cause,
I
like,
I
the
just
other
don't get
thing-
why this was a sci-fi movie. It feels like it's just for the sake of having underwater aliens that they did it, and because they do add nothing to it.
Well,
for me,
that's
at
what I'm
least.
talking about when I say about, like, the obsession with tech being the reason that you want to make a movie. Like, it makes you do unnecessary things. Like that then
But they
mar
had
our
a
story.
good movie without the aliens in it anyway, with them getting stuck at the bottom of the ocean. So if there was just more of them
More of
having
that.
to try and
Yeah.
survive in this place as they're getting saved,
Mm.
and then you could have had other characters that were on a ship that were trying to save them or something like that, another dive crew that are trying to save them, things like that. You could have had multiple sort of storylines going on in the same movie, rather than have aliens for the sake of aliens. I don't get that side of it.
No, that's fair. That's totally fair. I think it does suffer on that aspect if that's not what you're into. I was a bit more forgiving, as I have said throughout this episode, but it's not that I disagree. It didn't turn me off the movie totally. The other thing it suffers from is,
And I guess maybe it is kind of derivative of ET as well. Sorry to interrupt, but I was just
fair
thinking
enough.
about that side of it, because they do just do the ET thing of saving the dying main character because they have magical abilities that we don't. And I. Sorry to keep harping on it
No,
about
it's
it,
fair.
but yeah, no, it's just
It's
the
funny.
alien aspect of this movie. I just don't understand why they did it.
It's almost as if they're making a movie that's going to sell really well on the alien planet. Like, they're like, oh, they're going to love this because they're the heroes in this story.
It's just the more I think about it, the less it makes sense to me.
The other thing this movie suffers from, as a lot of these critics did say, is its length. Especially the special edition adds in stuff that makes it more well-rounded. But even the theatrical release, I don't know if the editing should have been tighter, or what scenes should have been cut. I'm not necessarily offering a solution.
Yeah, I don't know what they should have removed, but
it does go on a bit.
It is really long.
Yeah, I think,
and it does drag towards the last hour.
No,
but that's because of the jump in sort of the pace. Because the pace does slow down massively after Michael Bean dies, and it is just a lot more slower, more just swimming / slowly diving and things like that, rather than rushing to close the bulkheads so they can stop the water from rushing in. Yeah, so it is the structure of the movie that kind of damages itself.
The tension and the pace ramp up with Bean and dies off with Bean. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all
Yeah.
sort of like focused around not
Yeah, the
saying
movie is on Bean's shoulders is what you're saying, and I completely agree with you.
I'm not
100% I agree with you.
I think your general psychology and your happiness is on Bean's shoulders as well, and you might be conflating
Usually,
the two.
yeah. Yeah.
I
If he's having a bad week, me too. And
just
he's,
feel
he's
it
probably having a bad
psychically.
week at the moment.
Oh, bless you. Yeah, I mean, it is funny how that happens. Like when his character's introduced and he starts sort of like pulling the strings and trying to do the military thing outside of the civilian thing, the tension and the pace does pick up. And then as soon as he dies in that kaiju Meccano fight scene, it dies off immediately as well, and it goes like a lot more plodding. Again, I don't know what could have been cut or should have been cut.
An
but
endearing
something.
villain. I
Yeah, he
wish he
is.
wasn't such a fucking douchebag in sort of the first scene of dialogue we see with him in again, I'm forgetting her name. I'm so bad with names, but just the way he's like, yeah, we know about fucking ocean madness. Like he's a bit too much of a dick to her in that moment, but he's an endearing dude. He's human. You can sort of justify it as it is the ocean madness that gets him. And yeah, they're sad. I liked him. I liked that character a lot.
You are actually right.
Despite that scene,
we didn't really cover that too much when they were introduced, but the very obvious antagonism of those characters makes for quite a disinteresting platform for a villain. I'm not saying in this particular scenario, because Michael Biehn does do really well in it, but
he does brilliantly.
All right, mate, I get it. But you know, like it's the same in any story. Like the villains that are unambiguous, if they are the main antagonist, it's less interesting. Like having a really arch, very obviously antagonistic villain be like a sidekick or a henchman or a subplot villain is fine and can be super entertaining. But for the big characters like Michael Biehn in this, or like Lieutenant Coffee or whatever it is, it just there should have been a higher level of ambiguity to his moral compass, I think.
Yeah.
Like he does say, I was just following orders, but that's more to illustrate his descent into madness following that line, I feel. Like that's the peak of his sanity, and then it starts to crush because of the guilt. It's less to do with trying to, you know, put some grey into his character. Yeah, there we are.
But yeah, he always does well. He always plays a good villain. Always plays a good hero. Doesn't matter what he does. Michael Bihn's always great in it.
Yeah, tune in for the next 5 episodes, all of which feature you talking about
Hell
Michael
yeah,
Biehn at
let's
some
do
point,
it.
like, whether or not he's in the movie.
We're doing Clock Stoppers next.
I haven't seen that, mate. Honestly,
That's awful. It's
oh, okay.
An awful kids movie. We should totally do an episode on it one day. I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah, let's do
it was
it.
a Nickelodeon movie, man. I watched
Oh,
it way
let's
back
do
in
it.
the day.
Let's do
yeah,
it.
It's a bad movie, but he's the villain in that, I think,
That
if I
sounds
remember
fun.
rightly. I'm sure he is.
So for the Siskel and Ebert stuff, it doesn't have too much of their quote here, but it just mentions that after the release of the special edition, the film started to garner more praise, each of them giving it a thumbs up. Siskel remarked, "The Abyss has been improved." Roger Ebert said, "It makes the film seem much more well-rounded." I totally understand that, because with the stuff taken out about the context of the Cold
Soviet
War,
side of things.
how could you even tell that story without it?
It would feel like it would be pretty messy. Why is Coffee doing any of this?
Yeah, I'd be sat there like, what is
you
his
don't need
motivation
the
whatsoever?
Nuclear warhead.
Exactly. Like,
But,
why are you
yeah,
doing
no, with
anything?
this, I can understand it.
Yeah. I don't get why you would take any of that bit out. The other stuff they cut, I kind of understand, but the Soviet background and them seeing all the shit that's going on the TV following the sinking of the USS Montana, it gives everyone motivation for what they're doing. It's literally a core part of the story. So I think that was a massive oversight in removing that. James Berardinelli comments, James Cameron's The Abyss may be the most extreme example of an available movie that demonstrates how the vision of a director, once fully realised on screen, can transform a good motion picture into a great one. And I think that sums up what this special edition may have done for this movie, even though it didn't do anything to assist with the pregnant runtime.
Great movie.
No, that's fair enough. But
it's good. It's good, but yeah, it's not great.
It's funny that one of the original problems that a lot of them have is the pregnant runtime, but the special edition improves it only by adding more runtime and more stuff. I don't know what could be cut. I just feel like something needed to be, or
the aliens.
just totally just remove
cut
the aliens
all of
from the
that
movie.
shit. Just rewrite it. Just get rid of the
It'd be
aliens.
so funny if they
and-
got to a point in the movie where they'd filmed like right up to the ending, and they're like, the aliens are the worst part of this movie. Like, what do we do? This whole ending that we're about
too
to
late.
film.
It's too late at that point.
No, it's far
You're
too
in
late.
it.
Love it. So yeah, I just had a few more questions for you on the close of this. So yeah, we've covered the plot and we've covered the critique, and yeah, I just wanted to touch on you with how you touch on you in general. It's been so long
Yeah,
since
sweet.
since
Go
I've
for
hugged
it.
your body.
Go for it.
So we said about that. Yeah, this is a good question. What would you have done if you had encountered an NTI in that trench? Would you have gone Lindsey Brigham or would you have gone Coffee?
I think I go in the middle. I think I'm both fascinated and freaked the fuck out, but not to a point of like I need to nuke them, but I'm also not at a point of I need to go and meet them and learn more about them. I feel like I'm at the point of like I want to let scientists know about this so they can check it out, and I'm just gonna stay the fuck away from it and maybe read about it in the news one day.
Yeah, I'm just gonna drink my tea, fucking chill out here for a sec.
Yeah.
No, fair play. I would like to
I
think...
watch X-Files and shit, so my first assumption would be these motherfuckers are evil and they want to probe me. And so, yeah, I just wouldn't want to get involved.
Oh no, don't probe me. He's just like backing up towards the alien water tentacle.
Yeah, but with like, you see their like underwater sort of spaceshipy type thing, and it looks like a jellyfish, and so I would just assume that all of their technology is like jellyfish, and I wouldn't want a jellyfish dildo in me, or jellyfish probe. Sorry.
The thing is, I'm gonna say that neither do I, but I've never tried it. So who the
Yeah,
fuck knows,
true.
dude? It might be amazing.
It's true.
Never cut
We don't
yourself
kink
off
shame
from.
here.
Yeah, absolutely. Never cut yourself off from the
Unless
possibility
you're
of
a
happiness.
furry.
Yeah, in which case, fucking die in a hole.
Yeah, fuck furries.
No,
And
don't
people that like
fuck
poo
furries.
too.
What, scat fucking shit? Yeah, no, absolutely not.
They should get put down.
Probably right. Scat and puke, mate. Keep that far away from the bedroom if you can manage it. I can't believe we're talking about this. All right. So this is a bit of a bigger question, and it may be none of the above, given what I now know about your experience of the movie. But the film, it plays with a lot. It might actually be overburdened by the amount of themes that it tries to get across. Like the big three are first contact with aliens, the Cold War anxiety going on the surface, and emotional vulnerability and, you know, claustrophobia of the people under there. Did any of those themes land harder than any other for you? Did they land successfully, or was it overburdened by trying to touch too many themes at the same time? And on that subject, how do you interpret the ending? Is it hopeful? Is it, again, the slap on the wrist caution to the US military, or does it just miss the mark entirely?
So the only thing that, like, the only sort of theme that really does land with me is the feeling of like tension, claustrophobia, isolation that they're feeling for the first sort of 2 hours of the movie. But a bad movie can make me feel that. Like I said, Deep Blue Sea, terrible fucking piece of trash, but I feel stressed throughout the whole thing because it's involving water in a space where it shouldn't be, so it's stressful.
Like an
But
enema.
everything else, yeah, fuck that. But yeah, like everything else, I don't overly care about.
Interesting.
The relationship does have certain aspects of it that I like, I guess, but yeah, most of it is just the kind of standard shoehorned in romance that Hollywood movies feel the need to have in everything. In
Certainly in the 80s and 70s.
The Cold War stuff, while it makes sense to me, and it's something that we're still kind of feeling now, it doesn't have an ending that feels satisfying in any way, so it just feels like something else that's kind of pointless. And again, if they had done something that actually involved Russians and not aliens saving the day, maybe I could appreciate the movie a little bit more, but it doesn't do that, so I don't overly care about that theme. It makes character motivation make sense, and that's kind of about it.
That is a really interesting point, and one that I didn't pick up on at all. I completely bought the whole Cold War, the being reprimanded for escalating the tensions in the Cold War by these aliens of all people. But you are only involving one side in this story, and you're not bringing in the other player in this game. You're literally saying stop playing this game to only one person. It is an interesting one. I think it was a bit of a leading question because I don't think that the ending landed at all. And I've told you that before. I don't think that movie has a proper ending because they missed the other ones. As much as I do genuinely enjoy this movie, I think it is too over encumbered with different themes, and it should have focused more strongly on one or two rather than trying to do all big three. And certainly, now you've said it, I totally agree. If you're going to tell one side to back down in a war, you have to tell the other side as well. Otherwise, you're asking that other side to just roll over and take it up the arse. Which, again, I don't know why this ending is full of us talking about taking it up the arse, but there we go. It's an analogy for war, I suppose.
That pretty much.
It's a very ambitious movie thematically. Not even withstanding the ambition of its technical achievements. But first contact with aliens, a possible nuclear apocalypse, and a love story, all in one. Also, a claustrophobic underwater thriller. It does take on a lot. And to have the ending then be we're lifted to the surface and everyone hugs and no wars are ever fought again and nobody ever dies is a bit of a disservice, bit of a flop off at the end, I think. So I guess the last question I have for you simply is just, would you recommend it to anyone who's never seen it before? And if so, which version? I think I can speak for you when I say the
I mean, I haven't seen theatrical, so I wouldn't be able to recommend that to anybody.
Okay.
I haven't seen it myself. I guess it depends on the person. I guess I would recommend it to some people.
Just someone that hasn't seen it before.
Yeah, I think it's worth watching because of all of the behind the scenes stuff. That definitely comes through on screen. You can see how sort of stressful the movie would be to make. So it's worth watching for that. But yeah, beyond that, I don't think it's all that great. It's good. First 2 hours, I had some pretty great moments in there, but yeah, it all fell apart in the end.
Totally fair. I would 100% recommend it to someone who hasn't seen it before. Again, for the technical innovations, and for the first part of the movie, and they may enjoy the ending more than I did, possibly, if people are less inclined to sort of pull things apart and question exactly why certain decisions were made. I wouldn't recommend the theatrical version, not having seen it, but just being told that those scenes weren't in it. It's like, well, it just doesn't sound like it would make any sense.
I would recommend the theatrical version to anyone that's seen the special edition, just so you can see the differences. Like, I'm recommending the theatrical version to myself and you, so you can see what the differences are. But
fair play. I think it's a movie that's worth a watch. I wouldn't bring it to a watch party if someone was like, yeah, we're just going to watch movies all day. I wouldn't suggest The Abyss.
If someone was like, oh, I really want to watch a James Cameron movie, this wouldn't be what I suggested.
No, that's fairly valid.
I would suggest Titanic over this.
One of the other questions I just threw in there.
To be fair, if it wasn't for this movie, we probably wouldn't have Titanic.
I mean, that's fair, yeah. And maybe more billionaires would be alive in the world today. I do. One of the questions I put in this, just as we end, it's such a ridiculous question, just throwing random questions at the wall, is what's one word you'd use to describe The Abyss now that you've seen it? It's wet.
I was just about to say wet.
Cold. Any of those aliens. Whatever.
Brown.
Yeah. Oh, mate, ridiculous. Right, so that is The Abyss. Fuck it. What are we doing next time?
Fuck. You said we weren't doing this anymore, so
I did say we weren't going to do this.
About it, but fuck it. Let's go. Let's do what we were originally setting out to do with this podcast and do a James Bond movie. So let's do Dr. No.
Oh, okay.
Let's get on with it.
All right, cool. Part 1 of the fucking 20-part season. That's going to be great. All right, cool. Dr. No.
I feel like it's going to be another movie in a row where we're going to see a woman get assaulted.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe we should lay off those after for a little bit. But we're certainly going to see Sean Connery in his prime. I have seen.
Because I'm assuming he slaps a woman in Doctor No.
I think he does, and I think he does it in most of the James Bond movies he's in.
I would assume it's in most of the older James Bond movies.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
But you can't blame him because they're being hysterical. What are you supposed to do?
Okay. So yeah, I will watch my first James Bond movie. And we'll talk about that next time.
It's very funny. A lot of the jokes made around that will start to make sense to you. I mean, I'm sure they made sense to you already, but actually seeing them played out is a bit of a like, how the fuck did anyone think this was a good idea kind of thing. But no, I'll look forward to that. Yeah, cool. So this has been Watch This. I've been Harry. This is my friend Jordan. And we will see you next time for another fucking movie. Let's go.
Go to the movie.
All right, peace.
Movie.